Welcome to the Brian Craig Show. My name is Brian Craig, and this is where MAGA comes to talk. Welcome one and all, and man, oh man, we have the first president of the United States who has made it his mission to end the flow of illegal drugs coming into our country, which are poisoning Americans. The drug cartels, without a doubt, are responsible for the death of more Americans than all of the other wars we've been involved in combined by far. And President Trump is going there. President Trump is addressing the nation at 2 in the afternoon today. It's a mystery as to what he's going to talk about. It could be his complete ban on the third world fake refugees coming into our country, sealing down the borders. It could be about military action against the cartels in Venezuela. Right now, there's been some big updates in regards to Venezuela. The airspace, of course, over Venezuela was closed down by the president over the weekend, but there's now a naval blockade with the United States Navy surrounding Venezuela, on top of the fact that we're taking out these drug cartel boats. And what the Democrats and the media, the never-Trumpers, have been doing with all of this is beyond insanity. There's been an unwritten rule of etiquette in the United States with public officials. And when America has boots on the ground, which means military personnel in combat, political discussion ends. There's all kinds of political discussion before military action, but when boots are on the ground, it ends. Well, we've got boots on the ground, so to speak. It's the United States Navy and United States Marine Corps. We have a major naval operation, an entire fleet in the Caribbean, in this naval blockade of Venezuela. There's some type of enforcement of the no-fly zone over Venezuela going on. And of course, we're sending in airstrikes, whether they're by naval fighter jets or drones on the cartel boats. And there's at least 15,000 Marines in that naval fleet group that are being prepared for possible ground operations in Venezuela. So we do have boots on the ground in the form of the Navy on the water. And we still have these never-Trumpers, Democrats, and left-wing media just saying terrible things about the president and everyone involved. And the sedition that began with that video a couple weeks ago that Mark Kelly and the other congresspeople put out is getting worse. And the press, of course, who were their willing co-conspirators in their treason and everything else going on against the country. By the way, welcome to the program. If you're new, my name is Brian Craig, and this is where MAGA comes to talk. Subscribe if you're new. Welcome to the new subscribers and new viewers. And I do take live calls that are completely unvetted and screenless. If you'd like to call in and share your opinions, the number is toll-free, no matter where you're watching, and it's pinned in the live chat, 888-465-2631. When you call in, I'll just put you on hold. And you may have to hold for a while, but when you hear me say, what's your name, where are you calling from, you're on the air. All right? The number, again, pinned in the live chat, 888-465-2631 is the number. Okay, so we have boots on the ground with the Navy there, so to speak, figuratively, right? Marines standing by, airstrikes happening. And what they started doing yesterday is just beyond imagination. They're trying to pin the admiral in charge of the fleet group down there as a man who's followed unlawful orders. With one of these recent drug cartel boat strikes, apparently they took two shots to take down the boat. They hit it the first time but didn't sink it, and there were survivors, so the admiral authorized a second hit. They did it, boom, blew everything up and killed the cartel boat drivers there. The liberals in the media call them fishermen. Yeah, fishing for junkies to buy their junk. When you're fighting a war, which President Trump is doing against the cartels, the war on drugs, we've heard it all our lives. It's gotten hot now for the first time. although Panama, which I'm going to talk about a little later. When you win a war, it's total war, and you take down the enemy. When you're in wars that aren't won, you don't fight to win, like in Vietnam. Do you know how difficult it is for the cartels to get guys to drive these boats with drugs on them towards wherever they're driving them to in the United States? It's not easy. And if you don't take out the boats and you let the guys on the boats survive, it makes it easier for them to recruit. You know, what's going on right now, I wouldn't be surprised if the cartels are kidnapping the family members of people and making them take the boats. I wouldn't be surprised. It's getting pretty desperate for them. And because of the naval fleet group and the air power we have, they're not getting anything by the air. This is not the 80s. This is just how you fight a war. But what they're trying to do is pin everything on the admiral in charge of the fleet group. And they're trying to pin it, not that there's anything to pin on him other than he's saving American lives and defending the United States and American citizens from this illegal cartel poison that they've been killing our people with for decades without any fear of anything stopping them until Trump started this now. They're trying to get a narrative going that the admiral followed unlawful orders. They're trying to make this part of the video warning. They're trying to label him a war criminal. And he has followed an unlawful order. So what Kelly, Mark Kelly, retired naval captain, who very well is going to find himself recalled to active duty. It could happen any minute, and it should happen. They're trying to cause a mutiny in this naval fleet that we have off Venezuela right now. They're trying to get the sailors and officers to rise up in mutiny against the admiral because he's a war criminal who's followed unlawful orders from Pete Hegseth and the president to take out these drug boats. Don't you see what they're doing? I've never seen anything like that before. Not by sitting members of the United States Congress. Now, Kelly, what Mark Kelly is doing, he had this press conference yesterday surrounded by a lot of American flags. And anytime you see a Democrat surrounded by American flags, what they're really doing is burning the flag. If you ever hear Democrats talk about the Constitution and upholding the Constitution, they're actually tearing up the Constitution, okay? A little ridiculous. What Mark Kelly is doing is not only trying to cause a mutiny with this against the admiral, they're also, I believe he's running for president of the United States. At least in his bald-headed mind, he's running for president. He thinks he's got the best chance to get the nomination and win for the Democrats. The Democrats, it's pretty slim pickings, but Mark Kelly is running for president, at least in his mind. And that press conference yesterday, that's what that was about. That was almost a presidential announcement. I want to play some of this. This guy's out of his freaking mind. This is Senator Mark Kelly, who may be Captain Mark Kelly, United States Navy again soon.
President Trump is trying to silence me, threatening.
Wait, who is silencing Mark Kelly? He's on TV nonstop. He's having press conferences. What has Trump done to try to silence this Lex Luthor-looking, Mr. Clean-looking, bald idiot? For a guy that's being silenced, he seems to have a pretty good exposure on all the Sunday shows, all the cable shows, and then he had this massive press conference, which was carried nationally yesterday.
President Trump is trying to silence me, threatening to kill me for saying what is true.
I missed that. When did President Trump threaten to kill Mark Kelly? This guy is a narcissist times infinity.
President Trump is trying to silence me, threatening to kill me for saying what is true. And he sent his Secretary of Defense after me. And it's not going to work. Here's how we got here.
How?
A week and a half ago,
Jerk.
Senator Slotkin and I, along with others who also served in the military and the intelligence communities, we released a video with a simple message to service members that they must refuse illegal orders.
See what's going on here? This is, and now they're trying to say that the admiral followed an illegal order, especially with they're trying to call the admiral not just a war criminal, but he's followed illegal orders with the second shot to take down the cartel boat.
Nothing was controversial about that.
Oh, yeah.
Everyone must follow the law. No one may break the law. This is pretty basic stuff. Seeing that video, here's how any other president would have responded. They would have said 2 words, of course. But that's not how this president responded. We've become so accustomed to Donald Trump's behavior that it is worth emphasizing.
No. Boy, this guy talks slow, doesn't he?
The President of the United States said that 2 U.S. senators and 4 members of the House of Representatives should be arrested, hanged, executed for something we said.
No, that's not what President Trump said. He did share what the penalty for sedition is. Now, let me ask you, do you think he's running for president, Kelly, number 1? 2, what do you think the odds are that Pete Hegseth is going to recall him to active duty and court-martial him? The number's toll-free, 888-465-2631. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Yeah, good morning, Brian.
Oh, hey, Richie.
Nancy Pelosi. Yeah, this is a Nancy Pelosi playbook by the Democratic Party once again. You put out an allegation, unknown sources. Nobody has come out and put a name on any of this, and then you give it to the media, the NBC, the CNNs, and all these people, and they run with it.
That's correct.
And they keep on repeating it on every show. It's been denied by Pete Hegseth. There's no proof at all, and it's just an allegation. But it becomes the truth through the media.
Yeah, that's right.
And this is all just a smear job, total smear job. And
Absolutely.
And it's a joke. It's a joke. I'm sorry to say this.
Well, Richie, what they're doing. This is what they're doing. They have a plan for what they're doing. Okay. The one thing I talked about already is they're trying to cause a mutiny in this fleet. That's now in a blockade of Venezuela, who's taking the airstrikes on the cartel boats, and probably, if they're not already, will be enforcing the no-fly zone because we have a carrier there. I think it's the Gerald Ford that's there, which is a new modern carrier.
Yeah, the biggest in the world. Yeah.
So, what they're trying to do is a couple of things. One, they're trying to cause a mutiny on a U.S. naval vessel, which I don't know. Has there been a mutiny in the Navy ever? The other thing they're trying to do is the sedition continues. They're identifying the admiral as an officer who has followed unlawful orders. What they're planning on running on in the next presidential election, maybe even the midterms. They're talking about military tribunals for this admiral, for Pete Hegseth, and anyone along the chain of command who follows what they've declared to be unlawful orders. That's what they're doing.
Well, this is a plan. Well, it started back, I told you, I don't know if you saw that, the billboards are popping up all over the place now. Those billboards were put out before the first action.
Yep.
These people, those billboards were meant to divide the military.
Yes.
Don't listen to these people.
Yeah.
And to divide, this is a silent coup against the United States by the Democratic Party.
It is.
Let's not cut to the chase.
Yep.
These are communists. And they're globalists, and they're scared to death,
Yep.
and they'll do anything. It's an organized event that we're watching here every day.
Oh yeah.
And President Trump is so strong that he's not taking it. He's going full forward, and these people are going to lose because the American people are going to see through this.
Well, what do you think the chances are? What do you think the odds are that Pete Hegseth recalls Kelly to the Navy for court-martial? I mean, what he's doing is outrageous. I mean, we have boots on the ground
100%.
with the Navy down. You think 100% it's going to happen?
100%. It could happen at any moment.
Yeah.
I mean, I understand that there's going to be a big announcement by President Trump today
at 2
o'clock.
2 o'clock, I thought. Is it 11?
2 o'clock?
Last I saw 2.
Maybe you're right. Maybe it's 2. But this is all coming down. And from what I understand now, that Maduro's plane took off. It was the only plane that was let fly, and it's 12 miles away from the Brazilian border, where it's a 12-minute car ride. 12-minute car ride to the Brazilian border, where Lula, or whatever his name, Lula, is going to give him amnesty and hide him in Brazil. This is this whole thing.
Well, let him.
Let
him flee to Brazil. He'll be in exile. Let that. They'll take care of that. At least he'll be out of Venezuela.
As long as that cancer festers anywhere in South America, it's got to be taken out, and Brazil is sticking their neck out.
If they recall, if the announcement today by the president could be Maduro's resigning or fleeing, it could be military action against the cartels, it could be the shutting down of the borders to the fake refugees. It's got to be one of those things. It looks like which one it is, we don't know, at least not yet.
There has to be, Brian. There's got to be some kind of action taken against these 6 people already. This can't stand. This has to be immediate. I don't know what they're waiting for. Once again, they're a little slow to switch.
When you say what they're waiting for, you're talking about waiting for what, the military action, or recalling Kelly?
Recalling Kelly and putting these 6 people, including that CIA chick, and just exposing the whole damn thing.
Well, the thing with Kelly, my guess would be, this thing with Kelly getting recalled and court-martialed has nothing to do with the Justice Department, right? Because this is military. So it's a big deal. He's a sitting United States senator, and he's probably the senior senator from Arizona. He's very high profile. Something like this has not been done before, to my knowledge. Recalling a sitting U.S. senator for court-martial into the military. So they got to make sure that they have all the legal things taken care of and have everything in place before they do it. It's a big deal.
Well, this senator that was CIA, whatever her name
Slotkin.
is, they got her, Slotkin, they got her on video pulling some crap a couple in the very beginning. This isn't the beginning for her. She's been against Trump from the very beginning. Yeah. She's really a secret agent senator.
Well, if she's not already, and she might already be this, if she's not already, she's running to be the president of the deep state. She may be the leader of the deep state right now. The deep state we're always talking about, she may be their leader, or she's angling to become the leader.
She is running the show here, believe it or not.
They're saying Brennan. They're saying Brennan. I don't think so. He's so checked out and out of it.
No,
no, it's not Brennan.
Brennan, no. It's this girl. She's the new chief.
Yep.
Believe it or not, people better start wising up. They can't. I remember down here in the 1970s when all the drugs were flowing to Miami and everything. The leader was a woman. And she was a Colombian woman. She was the head of the whole cartel, a woman. So people that think that women can't do this, you better think twice.
Yeah, watch the Cocaine Cowboys documentary. It's pretty good. They the thing about her though, it's crazy that she every time she speaks, she begins by saying she's was in the CIA. They're not even, the deep state aren't even hiding it anymore. They're not even hiding it. And the liberals have always been anti the CIA forever, my whole life, right? And they blame them for all the troubles we've been involved in. Now the liberals are in with the CIA.
Well, they are. They have been the trouble of America. I mean, they've started all the wars. They've gone in. They've undercut governments. They do everything behind America's back. They kill people. It's disgusting, man. I mean, but not for nothing. They say we need something like this. They're out of control.
So Mark Kelly.
That's what it is.
So you think there's a 100% chance that Mark Kelly is going to be recalled to the Navy for court-martial? Oh my goodness.
Well, he has to be, because he won't shut up. He's so stupid.
That's right.
He won't shut up.
Yeah.
You got to shut up. You got a mark on you. You shut up. This guy is so dumb. What makes him so smart as a senator? Because he was an astronaut?
Please,
I mean, come on,
those things basically fly themselves. They're just passengers on the space shuttles and things.
Yeah, you sit there and they strap them in and they give them training that they can they can take the G-forces.
Exactly.
And then maybe the scientists they go up there and they.
He's no scientist.
But let me. Yeah, but come on. This what makes this guy so smart. Every time I've heard him speak, he sounds like a moron. And they voted him in. I mean, because I think he went on because his wife was shot. I think that's why he's a senator there.
Of course.
Sympathy
vote. Of course.
Not.
But I got to tell you though, what they're trying to do. I've talked a lot about this over the Thanksgiving weekend, and others have picked up on it. Even though Steve keeps wanting to give all the credit to Victor Davis Hanson, even though I was talking about this like over the Thanksgiving, but they're trying to. The CIA is trying to start a color revolution that they've started in other countries like Ukraine and Iran and places around the world. They're trying to do it here.
Who put Brian? I don't know if you saw. Who put those? I'm on these billboards. Who put those billboards up 5 days before the first troop was put into any of our cities? Who's behind it?
And who even uses billboards anymore? It's the left. It's these people, the deep state. They put them up.
They're trying to divide the country, and it's so sick.
Well, what they're trying to do a lot of things. You're right, but they're trying to, all of the, 1968 era of American politics with everything that was going on. That was all the deep state that caused all of that. The Vietnam protest movement. I mean, they're trying to recreate 1968 level chaos in the United States, and that's exactly what they're doing, right? I mean, remember they got rid of not just Nixon but his vice president too, and put in one of their lackeys, Gerald Ford, in.
Remember this: the only way they could stop President Trump is midterms. We talked about it yesterday. This is all about the midterms.
Yep.
If the Republicans don't hold the Senate or the House of Representatives, they will have President Trump on trial from the very first day.
That's right. All right, Richie, I gotta run, but I appreciate the call. All right, we'll talk again. All right, take care. The rest of you on hold, stand by. I want to remind you this early pre-show is brought to you by Mike Lindell and MyPillow. Huge savings going on with my promo code Kane. We're in a new month. Do your Christmas shopping. There's still time. Huge savings going on. I mean, look at these specials. 50% off the MyPillow towels, over 50% off the Giza Dream Sheets, the slippers, just $39.98. Just an incredible sales site-wide at MyPillow.com. And I told you guys that if you guys help me out and load up with my promo code Kane at checkout, Kane at MyPillow.com this month, the month of December. In the new year, I'll be able to get a full year sponsorship from Mike Lindell and MyPillow for this early show and all the other things I've been bringing you. So please go to MyPillow.com and use my promo code Kane at checkout, Kane for huge savings. We'll be right back. On the line, we have Bruce. Bruce is a client of Jupiter Joe Thomas. He heard me talking with Joe Thomas about annuities and what a great deal they are, and he went in with his wife, and now he's a client. Hey, Bruce, how you doing?
I'm doing good, Brian.
So tell me about your experience with Jupiter Joe Thomas.
A fine gentleman. We sat down with Joe, and we explained everything to him, and we brought all our information, and he worked everything out great.
The cool thing about annuities is your money's never at risk. You're guaranteed a revenue stream for the rest of your life, but there's a bonus, really a signing bonus, where you can make a boatload of money before you even leave Joe Thomas's office. Can you talk a little bit about that, Bruce?
Well, that's where I was surprised when we sat down. We talked about the bonuses, and to my amazement, it was 10%, and there was even another one that's bigger.
Wow, that's amazing. So you made 10% on your money before you even got back in your car.
Yeah, it was more than that, but it was great.
Listen, guys, do what Bruce did. Give Jupiter Joe Thomas a call. You can set up a free consultation either on the phone or in the office, and Joe Thomas will put together a custom proposal just for you. His number is 561-743-0999. 561-743-0999 and online at jupiterjoe.com. All right, Bruce, thanks so much.
All right, thank you, Brian.
All right, we're back. I'm Brian. Welcome to the program, everyone. This is where MAGA comes to talk. If you're new, make sure you subscribe. And welcome to all the new viewers and new subscribers. We're covering what's going on. Right now, the Kelly and the deep state and these Democrats and never Trumpers are trying to cause a mutiny with this U.S. naval fleet that's currently involved in a blockade and military action against Venezuela and the drug cartels. And if you're on hold, stand by. We'll get to the calls in a bit. If you would like to call in, the number is toll-free, and it's pinned in the live chat. 888-465-2631. 888-465-2631. All right, another clip. This is Senator Kelly from his speech yesterday.
He runs around on a stage like he's a 12-year-old playing Army.
Pete Hegseth.
And it is ridiculous. It is embarrassing. And I can't imagine what our allies think.
Okay, he's talking about Pete Hegseth, and I got to tell you, I think Pete Hegseth is the coolest guy to ever be running the Pentagon. The Secretary of War, formerly Secretary of Defense. We've never had someone who was so cool and was like a soldier himself. And I would imagine that our military, we've seen it, and leaders around the world are like, oh my goodness, this guy means business. But Lex Luthor, Mark Kelly here, hates him like the plague.
He runs around on a stage like he's a 12-year-old playing Army. And it is ridiculous. It is embarrassing.
I'm not embarrassed.
And I can't imagine what our allies think of looking at that guy in this job, one of the most important jobs in our country.
Yeah,
in my view, after the President of the United States, it is the next most important job. He is in the National Command Authority for Nuclear Weapons. And last night, he's putting out on the internet turtles with rocket-propelled grenades. I mean, have you seen this?
Yeah, that was hilarious, that meme. That Hegseth meme, that was awesome.
This is the Secretary of Defense. This is not a serious person.
Secretary of War, get up to speed.
He should have been fired after Signalgate. And then every single day after that.
Oh, my goodness. He's intimidated by a real man, Pete Hegseth, right? You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
This is Mike from Louisiana.
Oh, hey, Mike.
You know, these people, we've talked about this before with these treasonous six that made that video, right? Including Mark Kelly. You know, the least that should happen to him is calling back in the service and busting down some ranks. That's
I can't wait. Yeah, I can't wait. I hope that happens. I really do.
But if they can get him with the UCMJ, which is the Military Justice Code, you know, if they can get him in that and get him in a courts-martial, they could probably send him to jail, send him to Leavenworth, you know, and that's the thing. That's what they're risking. That's what he and these other people that are military folks, because there are a couple of other people that are military folks. They're risking this UCMJ, you know, and that's what they're doing. And look, this is we're again. They're not even looking at the fact that he's invoking that Trump is invoking the Monroe Doctrine. You know, that's exactly what Trump is doing. He's trying to protect this hemisphere. He's doing what many presidents before him.
I mean, think about it. How many lives has he saved already? Right, from the drugs. People OD on drugs all the time. You know?
And that's the thing. And who's to say who's on these boats? People are arguing. You know, well, what about if they're trying to people traffic? Well, sure. Yeah, they might be trying to put traffic.
They're not people trafficking. I haven't seen more than 4 or 5 people on these boats. Hey, Mike, appreciate the call. No. Yeah, it's drug trafficking. Yeah, back to Lex Luthor, Mark Kelly here.
Sort of flimsy legality that was being offered.
See, is this guy running for president or what? Look at him. He's up there like he's president taking questions.
Sort of flimsy legality that was being offered during the briefings. Were these sort of strikes that are now in the news what you were making reference to when you posted that video telling members of the military that they needed to feel okay just obeying orders that they felt were illegal?
Based on who this president is and who this Secretary of Defense is, and specifically things that the president has said in the past and things he was talking about doing in the future. Let me give you an example. 2016, he's talking about something on a debate stage that was clearly illegal. And he was reminded by Brett Baer from Fox News that that would be an illegal order. Military won't do that. You know what the president's response was to that? The military will not refuse my orders.
What order was that, Kelly?
Implying that even if they are illegal, they will not refuse them.
Do you guys remember that? I don't remember that from the debates. Do you guys? What is Kelly talking about here?
He's also talked about shooting protesters in the legs. Then he's talking about deploying more troops to American cities.
That's right.
And using those cities as training grounds. Do you know what that means?
No
that
crime.
means using the American people for the military to train on. So we were looking forward to try to head something off at the pass that could have been really, really bad. So it wasn't about this specific thing.
To me, and I don't know if this, I haven't, I mean, I've followed Kelly a little bit because I know who he is and his wife, and he was an astronaut. We all know who he is, but I haven't listened to him that much over the years that he's been on the public stage. So I don't have, enough experience listening and watching him speak to compare that to this, but he looks scared to me. And what I mean by that is the fear, he seems to be in a panicked anxiety state. Like he's gotten in over his bald head and he's nervous. And I do believe in his mind he's running for president. He thinks that'll give him some protection from the court-martial, I guess. Although they were arresting President Trump like every other week. And he was running for president and had already been president. So that wouldn't give you any protection. I mean, if they can arrest Trump for things that they made up, how can they not recall and arrest Kelly for things he's actually doing? But the way he seems here, to me, he seems nervous to me. He's really scared. And he's got these people behind him egging him on to continue doing what it is he's doing. And for some reason, they've convinced themselves that, I guess because he was in the military, he's a senator, and he was an astronaut, that people respect him. They don't. Maybe they respected him before, but just because somebody was an astronaut or was in the military doesn't mean you have to give them a free pass and respect them for the rest of their life for everything that they do.
Sort of flimsy legality that was being offered during these briefings. Were these sort of strikes that are now in the news what you were making reference to when you posted that video telling members of the military that they needed to feel okay just obeying orders that they felt were illegal?
Based on who this president is and who this Secretary of Defense is,
Secretary
and
of War,
things that the president has said in the past and things he was talking about doing in the future. Let me give you an example. 2016, he's talking about something on a debate stage that was clearly illegal, and he was...
Okay, now that's the clip I played before. Does anyone know what he's talking about there? I don't remember President Trump talking about illegal military orders during the first campaign. So if you know what he's talking about, give me a call and let me know, because I don't even know if Kelly knows what he's talking about. But I have no recollection of that. Anyway, back to this.
I was notified of a potential court-martial through a tweet by the Secretary of Defense. I mean, think about that for a second. How ludicrous is that?
Well, that's the modern way to communicate. Is through X. He's very dated. He calls X Twitter. He calls the Secretary of War the Secretary of Defense. He's a man from another time.
That's the only notification that we have received to date. And I think that says a lot about who Pete Hegseth is and what he cares about. He doesn't care about the law. He doesn't care about process. He doesn't care about accountability. He cares about views on his Twitter account.
Oh, my goodness. You know, this is really an amazing thing. You know, one thing that I learned in life years ago that I wish I understood and knew when I was young. Whenever you try to predict someone's motivation for doing anything, 99.99999% of the time, you're going to be wrong. You have no idea. But this guy here, Trump derangement syndrome, which is spread to Pete Hegseth and everything else, right? When you hate someone, like Kelly hates Trump and Kelly hates Pete Hegseth, which for reasons I really don't understand, no matter what they say or do, you find 80 reasons why it was the wrong thing to do or say. You can't think clearly. And Kelly, who I believe obviously hates Pete Hegseth and hates Trump, but he's suffering from a panic attack. I mean, I'm looking at him here. For such an important speech, I would have thought he would have put a tie on. If you're on hold, hang in there. We'll get to some calls in a bit. And if you'd like to call in, the toll-free number is pinned in the live chat, 888-465-2631, 888-465-2631. A lot of times people ask me, what am I looking down at, by the way, when I'm like, sometimes like I'm just put somebody on hold. Sometimes I'm checking my text messages. People text me during the show for things, coordinating. But he seems to me, in particular in this clip right here, to be in a complete state of anxiety. Anxiety is a panic attack. It's, stage fright, that's anxiety. Have any of you ever suffered from an anxiety attack? Ever had stage fright? I have, doing the kind of things that I do. You get stage fright. When the worst time to talk, there's the two worst times to talk about anything or make an important decision is when you're angry or you're having a panic attack. Anxiety and panic are the same thing because it has an effect on your brain that clouds your judgment and everything you say and do. He's in a panic that he's going to be court-martialed. He knows on some level, Lex Luthor Kelly here. Don't you think he looks like Lex Luthor a little bit? He knows what he did in that video was wrong. And what he's trying to do is, let's see here. Okay. Mike from the radio station just told me when we're going to be live. Okay, hold on. Okay, we got a couple minutes. We'll be live on the radio. So I'll take calls after the radio show starts in a few minutes. He knows on some level what he said and did is wrong, right? And his reaction is in a state of panic, a state of anxiety. So everything he says, every decision he makes will be the wrong thing to say and the wrong decision to make when he's in a panic attack. I mean, that's something I've learned in my life. Have any of you ever suffered from, like, you're really worried, you're having a panic attack about something, and then you make a decision? That's when you screw everything up. And this guy can't keep his mouth shut. He can't stay off of television, and he's doing himself a tremendous amount of damage because he can't keep his mouth shut. Now, when the radio show starts, I'm going to recap Kelly, and then later I'm going to get into what's going on with Tim Walz. Tim Walz very likely could go to prison with everything that he's got going on. And, of course, more of your calls, and we got a lot of stories to cover today on the program as well. And I want to remind you, this early show is brought to you by Mike Lindell and MyPillow. Go to MyPillow.com. Use my promo code Kane at checkout. There's huge savings site-wide. The perfect place to do your Christmas shopping. And if you guys have a good showing this month at MyPillow for the Christmas shopping month here of December, it will become a permanent sponsorship for my early show. They've been sponsoring it on a month-by-month basis. And after Christmas, they're going to let me know if it's going to continue and be a permanent thing. So please go to MyPillow.com and load up. There's great deals, by the way. I mean, look at this. You get the MyPillows just for $17.98. Those make great gifts for Christmas. Anyone you give the gift of the MyPillow towels, sheets, pillows, when you give MyPillow products to people as a gift, these are everything Mike Lindell makes is high quality. These are gifts they will have for years to come. And people are always telling me and my wife, oh, man, I love that pillow you gave me. I love those sheets. Whatever it is we gave them, they will rave about it every time you see them. it's one of those few gifts that people remember each year because usually, you get these gifts and you don't even know what you got last year. You don't know what you gave last year. You don't know what you received last year. When you give the gift of the MyPillow products, people will remember and they'll remind you for years to come. So go to MyPillow.com and load up, do your Christmas shopping season, give a gift that will last forever. These MyPillows come with a 10-year warranty. And look at this, money-back guarantee through March 1st of 2026. Who gives a money-back guarantee on pillows and towels? And so Mike Lindell, because he knows that what he makes is top-notch. So go to MyPillow.com and use my promo code Kane at checkout, K-A-N-E, for huge savings. All right, so we've got about a minute till the radio show starts. And we've got so much to cover. I'm going to start with Kelly, and then I'll get into Tim Walz and some other things on the radio. All right, we've got less than a minute. Yeah, the number's toll free no matter where you are watching. If you're new, I host a morning radio show. This has been the pre-show. We'll be live in about 30 seconds. Let me check. Yep, less than 30 seconds. Yep. Subscribe if you're new, guys. Cincinnati, that's a good name. Welcome to the program, everyone. My name is Brian Craig. You are listening to Florida's longest running radio show, The Steve Kane Show, on the radio since 1977, celebrating 49 years on the radio. Welcome on this, if you can believe it already, the second day of December 2026, Tuesday morning. We've got a lot to cover today. Tim Walz very likely will be going to prison, and we're going to get to him in a little bit. But I want to start with what's going on with Mark Kelly. It's been announced that the president's going to have a special address to the nation, which I'm assuming is from the Oval Office at 2 p.m. today. What it's about, we don't exactly know, but there's a number of things that are suspected. One of them is that he will announce that they're shutting down the U.S. border to all the fake refugees. Okay, that's a strong possibility. Another possibility is Maduro being deposed in major military action against the cartels in Venezuela. We don't know what it is yet, and those are the two favorites from everyone who's covering it. I would agree with that. We'll find out at 2 p.m. today. But I want to talk about what's going on. Now we're back from the Thanksgiving weekend. Senator Mark Kelly had a press conference yesterday where he took questions. I'm going to play some clips. But what they're focusing on right now, the Democrats, the Never Trumpers, the fake news media, is this taking out of this recent drug cartel boat with two shots. And the first shot didn't totally destroy the boat and kill the drivers of the boat, the cartel drivers of the boat. So the admiral authorized a second shot, which killed everybody and blew the boat to infinity and beyond. And they're making a big deal out of this. And I watched the White House press conference with Caroline Leavitt yesterday. And what they're trying to do is they're trying to pin everything on the admiral in charge of the fleet group. You know, there's been a major update. The United States Naval Fleet Group, which is led by this admiral on the USS Gerald Ford, which is the latest, greatest aircraft carrier we have. And is it the biggest aircraft carrier in the world or the biggest ship in the world? It's a massive aircraft carrier. We now have a blockade around Venezuela, a military naval blockade. If they're not patrolling the closed down airspace of Venezuela, which they probably are, they will be soon. And we're involved in combat operations already, for sure, taking out the cartel boats. And we probably have boots on the ground in and around Venezuela that are getting some eyeballs on drug cartel targets, preparing for either airstrikes or the special forces to drop in. The fleet that has the blockade around Venezuela has at least 15,000 Marines that are there standing by for ground operations against the cartels in Venezuela. Okay, so there's a major naval military operation going on. And, you know, our past presidents have sent the Navy and the Marines and other military personnel from other branches all over the world for things that we don't even know what they're about, right? Invading a tiny island to get some med students out of Grenada that couldn't get into a good school somewhere, or whatever it is they do. This is the first time, to my knowledge, that the commander-in-chief, the president of the United States, has taken a massive military action in my lifetime to protect Americans and the United States, because that's exactly what this is. The poison, not just of the criminals that they're sending here, but of the drugs mainly. It's an amazing thing. And what the fake news media, the Democrats, Senator Kelly, and the Sedition Six, is it six? The Seditious Six, and all the rest, what they're trying to do is cause, and I'm not kidding, and this is not an exaggeration, they're trying to cause a mutiny in this naval group. They're focusing on this admiral. The first shot didn't, it took the boat down, but didn't kill the guys driving the boat. So the admiral authorized a second shot, and it killed everybody and destroyed the boat. They're trying to say, well, not trying, they are saying that the admiral is following illegal orders, the ones they made the video about a couple weeks ago. He followed illegal orders, and he's a criminal. So what the Seditious Six, the fake news media, the Democrats and the Never-Trumpers are trying to do is cause a mutiny on board the USS Gerald Ford and other ships in that fleet group, and sailors, some of them may be pilots, right, against the admiral. Have we ever had a mutiny on a U.S. naval vessel? I don't know of one, but that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to get a mutiny going. Make no mistake about it. Another thing they're doing is they're setting the stage. There's a lot of foreshadowing going on here, right? That's like a storytelling movie term. There's a lot of foreshadowing going on. And what they're doing is, this will either be for the midterms or the presidential election season. They want to have, the Democrats, the Seditious Six and all, they want to have military tribunals where they put the admiral, Pete Hegseth, maybe even President Trump, and whoever else is in the chain of command, General Kane and all these others. They want to have military tribunals and try all of these people on war crimes. But right now, they're actively trying to start a mutiny on this fleet group. There has been a tradition in this country that goes back a long, long way. And that is when we have boots on the ground, the political discussion among the politicians stops. You can debate all the way up, but once there's boots on the ground, you stop. We have boots on the ground, at least figuratively, with the Navy involved in a military blockade and air actions taking out the drug boats. We have a lot of intelligence from the ground about these drug boats, and they are no doubt in my mind have special forces on the ground wherever these cartels are, if it's in Venezuela or Brazil or wherever they're located, getting eyeballs for airstrikes or dropping in the SEALs or whoever else, or the Marines, into these cartel hideouts in these cocaine factories throughout Latin America. So we have boots on the ground. And while we have boots on the ground, we have the Seditious Six, sitting members of the United States Congress, out there trying to cause a mutiny with the naval fleet surrounding Venezuela that is involved in combat operations as we speak against Venezuela and the cartels. This is a whole new era that we're in. So Senator Mark Kelly, who I believe we have about a 90%, you can't ever say with certainty, I believe we have about a 90% certainty that Pete Hegseth is going to recall him to active duty in the Navy and bring him up on charges, court-martial him, do something. I believe there's a 90% chance of that. By the way, I think there's a greater than 50% chance that the president is going to revoke Ilhan Omar's citizenship. The references he's made, and then she dropped a video over the weekend I played on yesterday's show. Well, if I get deported, so what? I can live anywhere. She's preparing herself for that, which means whatever accusations are being made about her citizenship and immigration status must be true if she's getting her head in that mindset. When they killed our National Guard's lady in D.C. and shot the other, who's fighting for his life right now, that was a changing moment with President Trump. Like when they shot the President Butler, there's certain moments, and President Trump's done with them. He's not playing games anymore. He's handling things. And, this the surviving guardsman, I read a story today. He's expected to survive. They say he's responding and he moved his toes. This guy's in worse shape than we believe him to be in. Okay? And, did you see what President Trump did for the military yesterday? He increased the pension for Medal of Honor recipients. I didn't know those who had received the Medal of Honor received a pension. They get a yearly pension. It's been like $12,000, $13,000, $14,000 a year. He's raised it to almost $70,000 a year. Off top of my head, I think it was $67,000 a year, something like that. Over $60,000 a year. Well deserved for their families too. I think family members of Medal of Honor recipients get that as well, because most Medals of Honor are given to people who were, made the ultimate sacrifice. So that's a very positive thing. But that's what's going on. They're trying to cause a mutiny on that ship. They're trying to establish the admiral as having followed unlawful orders to fulfill the prophecy in the Seditious 6 video and more. All right, we're going to take our first break. If you're on hold, hang in there. I'd like to hear your thoughts on all of this. The number to call in is toll-free, 888-465-2631. I want to remind you guys, it is time to do your Christmas shopping at MyPillow.com. Go to MyPillow.com and load up, guys. There's incredible deals going on. Mike Lindell's offering a money-back guarantee extension through March 1st of next year. Who gives a money-back guarantee on pillows, sheets, and towels? Mike Lindell does. And with our promo code Kane, there's huge savings going on right now. The 6-piece MyPillow towel set. My wife and I have these towels. They're spectacular. 50% off the MyPillow towels. Over 50% off on the Giza Dream Sheets. The MyPillow slippers, just $39.98. Sales site-wide. The Children Bible Story Pillow 5-pack, less than $30. All this with our promo code Kane. Blankets, comforters, duvets, kitchen towels, aprons, accessories, everything you can imagine. You can use our promo code Kane at checkout, Kane, on all the specials at MyPillow.com. The MyPillow itself is less than $20. The cross that Mike Lindell wears, you can buy one of those. 50% off the MyPillow cross necklace with our promo code Kane, Kane. And I will tell you, everything Mike Lindell makes is high quality. So when you give the gift of any of these great MyPillow products, the recipient, they will have them for years to come. And they'll remind you too, what did you get for Christmas last year? What did you give last year? Do you remember? People that we give MyPillow products to, they remind us every time. We say, oh man, I love those pillows. I love those sheets are amazing. Yeah. And they will remind you every time. They make great lifelong gifts, the gifts of all of these great items and products at MyPillow.com. Huge savings, of course, with our promo code Kane at checkout, Kane, at MyPillow.com. All right, we'll be right back after this. Oh, man. Yeah, guys. Make sure you go there and use the promo code Kane at checkout, Kane. All right, we'll take a quick break, guys, and be right back.
Are you looking for a gift that lasts a lifetime? One that's personal, powerful, and proudly American-made. At Back 40 Metalworks on Etsy, that's Works, W-O-R-X. They turn ideas into steel. Since 2010, Back 40 Metalworks has been crafting over 200 unique metal art designs, from wildlife and rustic decor to modern wall pieces and custom creations. With more than 30 years of experience working with metal, they know how to shape your vision into something extraordinary. Need a personalized welcome sign for your home? A company logo? know, a one-of-a-kind Christmas gift, something for mom or dad on their day, or any other day of the year. Every piece at Back 40 Metalworks is built to last, indoors or out, and every design tells a story, your story, in steel. Visit the shop online right now, back40metalworks.etsy.com. That's WORX, and view the inventory. You will be impressed. Back40metalworks.etsy.com. They turn ideas into steel.
This is Mark Laporta, son of Tom Laporta and proud second-generation owner of Laporta Roofing. As a military veteran who served in the Army after 9/11, I've brought the same dedication and discipline to our family business. At Laporta Roofing, we've been serving our community for nearly 4 decades, and we're committed to continuing that legacy of excellence. Our team specializes in all types of roofing systems, from shingles to tile, slate, metal, and flat roofs. We're the go-to experts for single-family homes, HOA communities, and condo associations. What sets us apart is our unwavering commitment to customer satisfaction. I've personally implemented systems to ensure you receive the best in customer service and workmanship. Don't miss out on our limited time offer for a free roof inspection. Call us now at 954-604-4602 or visit us at laportaroofing.com. Trust the experts who have been protecting homes like yours for generations. Again, that number is 954-604-4602.
Do you ever wish you could step back into the greatest decade of all time, the 80s? You're not alone. That's when members-only jackets made you cool, parachute pants swished with every move, when leg warmers, big hair, and neon ruled, and your Walkman, Atari 2600, and Rubik's Cube were your most prized possessions. If you missed the A-Team, Knight Rider, breakdancing, hair metal, arcades, and that unmistakable new wave sound, you're not alone. Welcome to WeLoveThe80s.com, the community built by people who still believe the 80s were hands down the most iconic decade ever. At WeLoveThe80s.com, they celebrate everything that made the 80s unforgettable. The music, the movies, the fashion, the video games, the attitude, and of course, the memories that shaped a generation. If the 80s live in your heart, relive them with WeLoveThe80s.com. That's WeLoveTheeighties.com. Go right now to WeLoveThe80s.com and take your place among the totally awesome.
All right, we have about a little over a minute till we're back on the radio. We're in a radio station break, and we will be back shortly. If you're on hold, stand by. I will get to the calls. But we're so close to coming back, I'll take the calls on the radio. And if you're new to the program, we're live on the radio. This is a radio station break we're in. Let's see. Isn't that something? My phone is blowing up this morning with text messages from people. All right. Less than a minute. We got about 40 seconds and we'll be back. Oh, boy. Mark Kelly. Do you think he looks like Lex Luthor? What do you guys think? He wanted to make sure he looked good. He got that head shaved fresh. How often do you have to shave your head to keep it looking like that? All right, here we go. Stand by. Welcome back. I'm Brian Craig. It's the Steve Kane Show. So I've covered a lot, and I've only just scratched the surface. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Oh, hey, man. Hey, it's be on here. My name is Marco, and I'm from Alabama.
Marco in Alabama. What's on your mind, Marco in Alabama?
Oh, man. So I just had a question for you about the Honduran president.
Oh, yeah.
So I just...
What's the question?
It came up in my mind. So it came up in my mind because it looked like you had it auto-moderated, where if I mentioned Honduras in your chat, it wouldn't let me post it.
Well, no, you're here talking about it. What's your question about the Honduran president?
Well, at this point, it's more, why are you letting the moderating not go through about Honduras in the chat?
I have no idea what you're talking about. Do you have anything to contribute? Do you have anything to contribute about the? What are you talking about? The pardon? What are you trying to say that you're right now? You're whining that you're censored and you're self-censoring. Just say what you don't think is allowed to be said, Mr. Controversial.
Okay. So I was just wondering why you are censoring that.
It's not. You're on the air. You're on the air now. Talk about. You're not being censored. Say what you want to say about the Honduran president.
Okay. Why do you think he is pardoning the Honduran president and then simultaneously doing the same thing in Venezuela?
Okay, pardoning. We're talking about the president of Honduras who's been pardoned. He was convicted on drug charges, facing 40 years, and it was a pretty smart thing for him to do. Before I tell you the reason, which I'm going to tell you, why do you think President Trump pardoned the Honduran president who was facing 40 years on drug charges? Why would he do that? I'm going to tell you why, but I want to see what you think in your twisted mind.
Because it is. I feel like he's trying to do it because he's a potential ally in that area for Trump specifically, and he feels like he has an in if he does that.
An ally? What kind of ally? What does that mean?
Well, Honduras, I believe, is kind of like a border area between multiple narco states that have to travel to the U.S.
Yeah, but why would he pardon this guy right now with what's going on in the world? Why do you think? It's as obvious as the day is long.
Honestly, I feel like it's a lot. Well, I feel like it's partly political favors. I mean, the guy's been there. Political
favors?
Since the beginning.
Oh my goodness! Yes. No. Okay, I'll tell you. Okay, because you don't have the. You don't have the ability to logically look at something and come up with a conclusion.
Hey, there's no reason to attack me like that.
I'm not attacking. It's an observation based on this conversation, right? I mean, here's why. Let me tell. I'm going to explain to you why. Okay, right now we are involved in a major military operation, perhaps the largest military operation in this hemisphere since we invaded Cuba in 1898 during the Spanish-American War, and this may even be bigger than that. We have an entire U.S. naval fleet group that is led by an admiral on board the USS Gerald Ford, which is the most modern aircraft carrier we have, the largest aircraft carrier in the world. We have at minimum 15,000 combat Marines ready to go. The president has shut down airspace over Venezuela. He's been attacking drug cartel boats. We're at war against Venezuela and the cartels right now. The president of Honduras has a working knowledge of this entire region, including who the players are and where they're located when it comes to the cartels and such. The pardon is because he is an intelligence source in this war against the cartels that we're in. He knows how they operate, he knows who they are, and he knows where they live and where their factories are and where their fields are. He's an intelligence source for us in this major military operation. Does that make sense, Alabama?
Yes, that makes sense.
There you go.
But also, it makes sense that we could do that without...
what's this we? What's this we thing? You're just some guy in Alabama whining that you're being censored when you're not. Where's this we part?
Well, I was. The chat on Honduras is not there anymore.
I have no idea what you're...
Two different phones.
I don't know what you're talking about. You're here now. You're not being censored.
I'm not talking about here right now. So it's like you're obfuscating with the I'm on the phone right now. Like, I was just talking about the chat, but now we're here talking about the actual problem.
Yeah, well, that's correct. That's what we do here. We don't talk about the chat on the show. That would be boring.
Well, I mean,
but I explained to you. I explained to you why I believe the president made the very wise decision to pardon the former president of Honduras. You said, "Oh, that makes sense." So President Trump did the right thing.
Yes and no, in my opinion.
Yes,
I can see your opinion on that. Why that would be beneficial.
Yeah.
But also, I could see that we could do that with many other people in that region or with our own, because we have a wide intelligence net, correct?
Well, this guy's a part of it now. He was the president. Listen, all the leaders in Latin America pretty much are figureheads for the cartels, including this guy, right? Maduro, the president of Mexico, the president of Honduras we're talking about. So he has a working knowledge of the top leaders and the top level of everything involving the cartels in that region. While there are people that may have other information, this guy knows who they are. He knows how they pay because he was getting paid. He knows where they live. He's probably visited their factories where they manufacture all that liberal cocaine and everything else. He's like a top guy when it comes to intelligence against the drug cartels.
So I have a question. So you're going off the basis of we've given a gift and goodwill towards.
I'm going on the basis that I have common sense, which is something that you lack.
Okay. Common sense.
Which you lack.
So why would we give him? Hey, there's no reason to attack, dude.
I'm not attacking. This is just an observation.
No, you're saying
you have no common sense.
Okay, then let me get my point across. Okay, so you're saying that we've given him a pardon as a gift, as a thing of free goodwill for him to give information. Why would we immediately give that gift instead of seeing if any fruit comes to bear of his actions?
Maybe it has already. If you haven't noticed, they have incredible intelligence information on these drug cartel boats that they've been blowing up. Maybe he's the source of that.
Maybe he's the source of the Venezuelan ones. He could be.
See, this is the thing. President Trump, President Trump is
constantly getting criticized for this, and I feel like he would say that he has information.
Why?
And he's doing this pardon?
Why would he give out? Why would he give out classified information? It doesn't. No matter what he says or does, you and your idiot friends are gonna listen. I gotta run for a break. Thanks for the call.
I bet you got to run for a wimp. Have a great day. I hope you become honest in your life.
Okay. Oh, my goodness. It's the Steve Kane Show, Florida's longest running radio show. Oh, I got to remind you guys, this is amazing. You're going to hear me talk a lot about Christmas gifts. And so many of our sponsors make great Christmas gifts. New tires are a great Christmas gift. Let me tell you. Your mom, your dad, if you're an adult, your children, get them new tire. You can get new tires as low as $75 a tire at Friendly Tire in Margate. As low as $75 a tire. And remember, that's out the door and on the road because Friendly Tire doesn't charge you to mount the tire, balance the tire, or dispose of your old tire. Give the gift of new tires. People will love them, believe me. The other thing is this. I was talking to Mike the other day. I was over there, and one of our listeners was getting a used tire, and I didn't even know it was a used tire. And I was talking to the guy because he was a listener. He recognized me. And I said, wow, that's a new tire there. And Mike said, no, that's a used tire. I said, a used tire? That tire looks like it hasn't even been used. He was like, no, it's a used tire. And I asked him, I said, how much are used tires going for right now? As low as $35 a tire. Good used tires for as low as $35 a tire at Friendly Tire. And by the way, like with the new tires, that's out the door and on the road because Friendly Mike doesn't charge you to mount the tire, balance the tire, or dispose of your old tire, even when you're buying used tires for as low as $35 a tire. Give Friendly Mike a call. He'll give you a quote right over the phone, 954-977-9445. 954-977-9445. That's 954-977-9445 for Friendly Tire in Margate. We'll be right back. See, I'll tell you guys during the break. For those that are new, okay, a couple things. First off, I'm hosting a morning radio show that's on a bunch of FM radio stations. But even when I'm not on the radio and I'm just live streaming here, if I'm in the studio, I'm taking live calls. Okay? All the calls are completely screenless and unvetted. And the number's toll free. So anyone who, like that guy, who's claiming censorship, that is the most ridiculous accusation you could make against me and my content, because you are welcome to call in. Now, there's a couple of rules. You can only call once per show, okay? You got to stay on topic with what I'm talking about, except on Fridays, which is open phones, right? and no profanity because when when I'm on the radio, they're pretty reasonable rules, right? So no one is censored here. You can all pick up the phone and call me. So I have no tolerance for people that are claiming censorship. Hold on, let me mic the board up. He'll text me when we're coming back from the break. Okay, we got some time here. Hold on. Okay. The other thing is about talking to the chat. I don't talk or respond to the chat when I'm live streaming in the studio. Like when I do some live streams, like when I was in my car earlier, you might hear me respond to the chat. The only, people that are watching or listening, if I'm responding to a chat, that's not interesting to people that aren't in the chat. So I see the chat. It's in front of me, like the guy that Corey just said, you're a creep. Okay. I see it, but if you want to have a conversation with me, pick up the phone and call, and I'll talk to you. Okay, that's how it works. The number's toll free. It's pinned in the live chat. 888-465-2631. 888-465-2631. It's a toll free call, no matter where you are. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
My name is Sandra. I'm calling from Delray Beach. The Barry Siegel Law Group did such wonderful work for me, and I was very particular. I'm a professional myself, and I went to about 3 or 4 attorneys prior. They wanted to do what they wanted to do. They didn't want to add anything extra, but Barry tailored it to my needs. And it's not only the trust. There's so many other end-of-life documents, the living will, the will, and I tailored each one of them to my liking, and they were wonderful and always, always polite. Never showed any aggravation or because I contacted them many times. Always polite. And not only that, when you finish your documents and you leave this world, your beneficiaries could go there and they'll explain everything to them, which is a big deal because a lot of these beneficiaries or heirs, they're not cognizant of what to do. I just wanted to let you know that the Siegel Group is above and beyond any other attorney that I have ever contacted. Plus, they give you a big portfolio at the end with a leather-bound documents. It's beautiful.
Give the Siegel Law Group a call, 855-FLA-3782, 855-FLA-3782, and online, siegellawgroup.com. All right, we'll be back in just over a minute. If you're on hold, stand by. If you're new, my name is Brian. This is where MAGA comes to talk. You guys agree? I mean, that's why they would pardon the president of Honduras. He's got all kinds. Plus, Caroline Leavitt did go through this. I mean, he did get railroaded by the Biden administration. No doubt about that. Let's see. Okay, less than a minute. About 30 seconds, we'll be back. All right, we're back. Before I jump back into it, I want to comment on that last caller before the break. It was talking about, I'm being censored. We take live calls every day, and I do this 7 days a week, not just the morning radio show, multiple times a day, most of the time twice a day during the week. We take live calls. The calls to this program are screenless and unvetted. That's the way we do the show. I started doing that when I first started doing a talk show overnights, and they wouldn't pay for a board op. So I had to get paid, I had to be the board op and the on-air person doing the talk show. So I didn't have anybody to answer the phones. So, but I stuck with it when I moved up in the world. And that's the way I like doing. And with technology today, we could even have an automatic call screening system, but I don't do it. I like the screenless, unvetted calls. And for those that are new, the way it works, you call in, no one answers the phone. I just put you on hold. And you may be on hold for a while, but I don't know who's on hold. I don't know who it is. I even turn off the caller ID for my phone lines in front of me. So I have no idea who's on the line or what they're going to talk about. And we do that for a number of reasons, okay? But when you hear me say, you're on the air, what's your name? Where are you calling from? That's the first time I'll know who it is on the line. So when someone calls in and claims they're being censored, this is, when it comes to a talk show of any kind, this is the least censoring that you could possibly do a show with. We have a couple of rules. 1 call per show, that's per show. So I usually do 2 a day, right? Or every day. So you could call once per show, and because we're on the radio, no profanity. That's it. And Monday through Thursday, you got to talk about the topics we're bringing up on Friday's open phones. But this is a really totally free place of speech here. So when someone claims they're being censored, I don't have a lot of tolerance for it. And a lot of times, people claim to be censored when they're not. They think it gives them credibility, that what they're trying to say is so brilliant, nobody will it's being censored. What I'm saying is just so true. There's so much truth to what I'm saying. I'm being censored. And you heard that guy. He didn't have a thing to say. Right? He did not have a single thing to say, but I still entertained his stupidity. All right, so let's get back to this. If you're on hold, stand by. The number's toll-free, 888-465-2631. So if you're just joining, Mark Kelly, Lex Luthor, the Sedition Six. Is it the Sedacious Six or the Sedition Six? What do you think? Sedacious, I don't know. It rings better. But the Sedition Six, the media, the deep, all of it, they're trying to create a mutiny on board the USS Gerald Ford and the entire fleet against the admiral over this airstrike where they took 2 shots to take out the cartel boat. All right? Nonsense what they're doing. What they're doing is criminal. So Mark Kelly had a press conference yesterday, and he just lost his mind. I believe in the mind underneath his very bald head, I believe Mark Kelly is running for president of the United States in his mind. They don't have a real good crop of up-and-coming Democrats to run for president in 2028, and he views himself, and he's all over the place. He had a press conference wrapping himself around American flags yesterday. And you notice, I'm looking at I'm going to play some clips of Senator Mark Lex Luthor Kelly of the Sedition Six in a moment, but I'm looking at the video, and you know what I'm noticing about these flags? Oh boy, I haven't seen this in a while. They're all wrinkled. Why are flags on a flagpole that have been on a flagpole all wrinkled? Shouldn't the wrinkles have fallen out? Unless they're brand new flags that they just opened up and put on poles around and they just ordered on Amazon. Oh my goodness. I remember in Charlottesville, the Nazis in Charlottesville with their Nazi white supremacist flags, some of them had creases on them in perfect squares. They just opened them up out of the packages. Real Nazis have the flags on the wall. If these flags were long-standing flags, they would not have wrinkles in them. I just noticed that. Anytime you see a Democrat surrounded by flags, whatever they're talking about and doing is not patriotic. If you're watching on, you can see these are brand new flags, all wrinkled up, surrounding Mark Kelly. But anyway, here he is in his really what was almost a presidential announcement speech.
President Trump is trying to silence me, threatening to kill me.
Okay, boy, Mark Kelly is a bigger narcissist than that caller I was talking to before the break. Mark Kelly had a national press conference that was carried by everyone yesterday. He did the Sunday shows over the weekend. He's been on cable more times than Michael Avenatti in the last 2 weeks. So who's trying to silence him? And this fantasy that people are trying to kill him. This is another thing, okay? I haven't talked about this in a while, so I'll mention it here. Oh man, we're up against a break. I'll share this. We'll break, come back, and I'll play the rest of Kelly when we get back. I've known people in broadcasting who claim to get death threats when they don't. Okay, and the reason a lot of them do that is to give them credibility. If people want to hurt them or kill them because of what they're saying, it gives credibility to what they're saying in their mind. It's so pathetic. Okay. No one is threatening Mark Kelly. The president's not threatening Mark Kelly. He's not trying to shut him up. By the way, the Never Trumpers killed Charlie Kirk and shot the president, but he's the dangerous one. This guy lives in a fantasy world. I want to talk about George Colony, our real estate guy. Oh, man. George Colony, he's awesome. You know, if you hear his commercial that with his voice, he says, people ask me, when's the right time to sell? When's the right time to buy real estate? And the answer is it's always the right time if you have the right advice. George Colony, he's not just a real estate agent. He's a very successful businessman. He's been involved in over $5 billion in real estate transactions, both buying and selling. He started a very successful 8-figure business of his own. And he's not some guy who got a real estate license over the summer while they were working as a bartender at Chili's and may still do that on the weekend, a lot of these real estate agents, right? He knows real estate, but he also understands business and money. And the way that he looks at real estate is so different than anyone I've ever met. You're getting a top-tier guy. You're getting a guy in a real estate transaction that high-end multimillionaires get, but he's available for the everyday guy. And if you're looking to buy or sell, if you're looking to move to Florida, if you're looking to move inside of Florida, call George Colony. I'm going to give you his number, which rings directly to his cell phone. You can call or text him. But, you know, if you're a renter and you're looking to become an owner, give George Colony a call. He can get you into a home that you own for less than you're paying in rent. Here's his number, 954-801-7320. 954-801-7320. That's 954-801-7320. We'll be right back.
This is George Colony. I'm in the real estate business in Fort Lauderdale, Florida with Kai's Real Estate. I've been in business for 6 decades. People often ask me, what's the right time to buy or sell real estate? To tell you the truth, it's always the right time. You just need to have the right advice from the right advisor. You could call me anytime because I answer my phone on the first ring. My number is 954-801-7320. That's my personal cell phone number. And I answer it on the first ring every time. Please give me a call. I'm happy to answer any question that you have. My cell phone number is 954-801-7320.
Are you looking for a gift that lasts a lifetime? One that's personal, powerful, and proudly American-made. At Back 40 Metalworks on Etsy, that's Works, W-O-R-X. They turn ideas into steel. Since 2010, Back 40 Metalworks has been crafting over 200 unique metal art designs, from wildlife and rustic decor to modern wall pieces and custom creations. With more than 30 years of experience working with metal, they know how to shape your vision into something extraordinary. Need a personalized welcome sign for your home? A company logo? A one-of-a-kind Christmas gift? Something for mom or dad on their day? Or any other day of the year? Every piece at Back 40 Metalworks is built to last, indoors or out, and every design tells a story, your story, in steel. Visit the shop online right now. Back40metalworks.etsy.com. That's W-O-R-X. And view the inventory. You will be impressed. Back40metalworks.etsy.com. They turn ideas into steel.
Hello, this is Mike at Friendly Tire. I've been in business 30 years at the same location and offering great deals on new and used tires. I have many suppliers. Whatever car or truck you have, I can get you incredible deals on any tire. I also do tire repairs at very low prices. Give me a call. My number is 954-977-9445. I will give you a price over the phone on new and used tires. Again, my number is 954-977-9445. Thank you.
All right, we'll be back shortly on the radio. We're in a radio station break. Let me get my coffee. Be right back, guys. All right, we got about a minute, and we'll be back. I got to get through this stuff. We're way into the show, and I haven't even gotten to all my show prep yet. Oh, my goodness. A lot to cover. A lot to cover. Less than a minute, and we'll be back. Yep, if you're on hold, hang in there. I'll get to the calls eventually. We got so much to cover. Yep, the number's toll-free in the chat. I heated up my coffee in the microwave, and I put it in for too long. So now it's too hot to drink. It's like McDonald's coffee in the 80s. Remember that? It was boiling hot. All right, welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian Craig. You're listening to The Steve Kane Show, Florida's longest running radio show on the radio since 1977. Before I get back to the Sedition 6 and everything that's going on with our great President Trump and Lex Luthor Kelly and all these people, I saw something this morning that just really ticked me off because it was so stupid, and it got worse as I got closer to the situation. Every morning before the show, you guys, I am addicted to coffee like Hunter's addicted to drugs and hookers, okay? I mean, I've tried to give up you hear me talk about this a lot. I go to Starbucks this morning, and most Starbucks have a homeless person living there. Starbucks has a long history of helping homeless people set up shop and live at their stores, letting them use their facilities and stuff. They've been cracking down on it to run the homeless out, but they all haven't done it yet. And at the Starbucks I go to, there's a very creepy homeless guy who lives in the plaza. It's insane, and he's really creepy. And, you know, most homeless people, most all of them, either have warrants out for their arrest, have done time, or they suffer from extreme mental illness, or they're strung out on drugs. These are dangerous people, homeless people. And I live stream while I'm waiting for Starbucks to open in the morning on my YouTube channel. So those of you that were there for this stream, I did a live stream. This was about 10 minutes to 5 in the morning. In front of the Starbucks isn't even open yet. I'm usually the first customer because I'm so early, but there was I thought it was a college-age girl, but she was a little older, I found out when I went in when the place finally opened. It was a mother with a child who was, I don't know, 11-ish, the child. The mother was, this is the dumbest mom I've ever encountered, okay? There's a homeless guy in camp there, covered up in blankets and everything. Very creepy old man. She's sitting out there by herself with her little girl who's like 11. She's got her MacBook out, sitting at this table with her back to the homeless person, alone with her 11-year-old daughter, 11-ish, scrolling through the internet like there's nobody business. I don't know what she was doing, shopping on Amazon or something. I couldn't believe the stupidity of this woman. You know, and I'm thinking to myself, my goodness. Now, you know, I'm there. If anything were to happen, I guess I'd have to get involved. You know, you've got to take some personal. I don't know anything about this woman other than she's stupid, and that I know she's got to be a liberal. You have to be a special kind of stupid liberal to be with your daughter. Alone in a dark shopping strip center with a creepy homeless person camped out covered in blankets. All you could see is the guy's face because he's all covered up, a little chilly this morning. It's rainy outside. Just a stupid, stupid person, this woman. I almost said something to her because when they opened up, she was in there and said, you know, there's a homeless guy. But I didn't. You know, she'd probably just get pissed at me. I mean, but I just, you've got to take some responsibility, not as people. You can't trust people like homeless people. And women, men too, but women more so. You put yourself in a situation to be victimized. And I was just flabbergasted by it. It just really burned me. If that were my daughter or my wife and I found out they did that, I would be fuming angry. I'd be fuming angry, doing something so stupid, risking her life and the life of her child around this homeless person. You can't. It's crazy. All right. Well, let's get back to this. I know. You got to take some personal responsibility for your own safety. A lot of times people get victimized, and I'm not justifying anyone being victimized, but they do stupid things and put themselves in situations that allow them to be victims. And only a liberal would do something that stupid. Yeah. All right. Anyway, back to this. So let me get into Mark Kelly's speech yesterday with his narcissistic fantasies.
President Trump is trying to silence me.
Please.
Threatening to kill me.
Oh, really? When did that happen?
For saying what is true. And he sent his Secretary of Defense after me. And it's not going to work.
Oh.
Here's how we got here. A week and a half ago, Senator Slotkin and I, along with others who also served in the military and the intelligence communities, we released a video with a simple message to service members that they must refuse illegal orders.
Okay, so this narcissistic lunatic, Senator Mark Kelly, we are in combat now. So now what they're doing, this is the setup. It started yesterday in the White House press briefing with the admiral over this latest boat where they used two shots to take out the boat. Okay, they're identifying. They did their video. I guess it's been maybe 3 weeks. Has it been 2 weeks or 3 weeks this week? They're now a warning about following unlawful orders. They're now identifying the admiral, who I'm sure has served honorably. Is he a 4-star admiral? I saw him in uniform. I can't remember. I think it might have been. Was it a 3 or 4-star admiral, this guy? They're identifying the admiral in charge of the fleet group around Venezuela right now as having followed unlawful orders. So he's a war criminal, is what Mark Kelly and the media are identifying him as. The admiral is a war criminal. They're identifying him as that now, right? So, yeah, Kojak. I like that. Kojak, Lex Luthor. Which do you think Mark Kelly looks more like, Kojak or Lex Luthor? The Kevin Spacey Lex Luthor or Kojak. There's only one Kojak. Well, they did do a second Kojak with Ving Rhames, but that doesn't count. They're identifying the admiral as having followed unlawful orders. So that means those under his command in the Gerald Ford Fleet Group that is now involved in military operations on the cartels and involved in a naval blockade of Venezuela, as well as patrolling the airspace over Venezuela, which the president has grounded all Venezuelan flights. If you follow the admiral's orders, you too are a war criminal. You were following the illegal orders that your admiral illegally followed. That's what they're doing here.
Nothing was controversial about that.
Oh, sedition's not controversial.
Everyone must follow the law. No one may break the law.
Okay. If the commander-in-chief, if he is giving illegal orders, see, you don't do this on board ship. They're trying to cause a mutiny, okay, in this whole fleet. You don't do this in combat. You don't do this out in the field. You impeach the commander-in-chief in the Congress for committing high crimes or misdemeanors, and there's a process to criminally charge and try the President of the United States. You don't do it out in the field. That's why what they're doing is sedition. There's a legal process to go after a rogue president, and they're not taking it.
This is pretty basic stuff. Seeing that video, here's how any other president would have responded. They would have said 2 words, of course.
Oh, jerk.
But that's not how this president responded. We've become so accustomed to Donald Trump's behavior that it is worth emphasizing. The President of the United States said that 2 U.S. senators and 4 members of the House of Representatives should be arrested, hanged, executed for something we said.
Oh, boy. Yeah, trying to cause a military uprising. He didn't say he should be executed. Oh, my goodness. Kojak, Lex Luthor, Senator Kelly, I don't know which name fits. But I'm going to give it a 90% chance as of today, unless something changes, that he's going to be recalled and he's going to be facing charges in the Navy. Because he just won't stop. All right, now we're coming up on the top of the hour. If you're on hold, stand by. If you'd like to call in, the number's toll-free, 888-465-2631, 888-465-2631. It's a toll-free call no matter where you're tuned in from, 888-465-2631. I want to remind you guys about Friendly Tire in Margate. Used tires, good used tires, for as low as $35 a tire. New tires as low as $75 a tire. For both of those, out the door and on the road, because Friendly Tire doesn't charge you to balance, mount, or dispose of your own tires. And these sizes are on common sizes on some of the most popular vehicles on the road today. Give Mike a call. He'll give you a quote right over the phone. 954-977-9445. 954-977-9445. That's 954-977-9445. We'll be back right after our top of the hour break. All right, we'll be back shortly, guys. All right. Okay. Okay, we'll be back in less than a minute, guys. If you're on hold, hang in there. Thanks for the super chat, the freak. Okay. All right. Stand by. All right, we're back. I'm Brian. It's the Steve Kane Show, Florida's longest running radio show. The 7 o'clock hour has begun. I'm going to finish up with Mark Kelly, and then I'm going to move onto some other things, including, looks like Tim Walz might be going to prison. I got some questions for you. This thing with Tim Walz, we're finding out that the Somalians, in Minnesota alone, there's about $1 billion in Somalian thievery. And, you bring the third world people over here, they bring the third world with them. They come from corrupt economies, and they don't even realize what they're doing is criminal. This is just how you do things, right? You commit fraud. There's no way $1 billion was stolen without Tim Walz knowing about it all along. I saw the Treasury Secretary, they're investigating this. I hope they do financial backgrounds, not just on Tim Walz and his immediate family, but his extended family too. I don't care if they got to go back to his 18th cousin, 15 times removed. They need to do a big search to find out the financial situation with Tim Walz and his extended family. But I was talking to my wife yesterday, and in different sides of both of our families, we have immigrants that that came here a couple of generations ago. And the way that immigration used to work in this country, and this is a very relevant thing because the president is shutting down this country. These fake refugees, okay, they're fleeing countries. Some of them are older than our country, and they're complete anarchy still today. They're not refugees, climate refugee, all this nonsense. Back in the era when our grandparent, like those of you in this audience, your great whatever family came here, the reason people came to the United States as immigrants in the past generations, of which people like me are descendants of, are varied, but mostly center around this premise, that this is a big country and we have a lot of space for people. But in America, you can come over here and participate, and everyone who immigrates here legally is an American, no matter where you're from and all of that. This wave of immigrants that are coming now, they don't come over to be a part of our society. They come over here to retire off the system, is what they do. They come over here to retire, get their free housing, their SNAP cards, and all that. When my great-grandparents and everyone came over here, there were no EBT, SNAP benefits. There was no Section 8 housing. If they wanted to eat, they had to work. This wave of immigrants that President Trump is deporting, that he's shutting down the country from more coming, and he's going to revoke their immigration status for many of them. What positive contribution are these immigrants bringing to our country? Can you name one? What is a positive contribution of these Somalians and others, Afghans that are being brought over here? I can't think of any. I don't see any positive contributions by any of them. They bring drugs, they bring crime, they bring rape, they bring murder, theft, right? All that. What purpose do they? That's a positive purpose to bring them here. I don't see any. Anyway, let's get back to Kelly. Here he is talking about Pete Hegseth.
He runs around on a stage like he's a 12-year-old playing Army. And it is ridiculous. It is embarrassing. And I can't imagine what our allies think of looking at that guy in this job, one of the most important jobs in our country. In my view, after the President of the United States, it is the next most important job. He is in the National Command Authority for Nuclear Weapons.
That's right.
And last night, he's putting out on the internet turtles.
That's right.
With rocket-propelled grenades. Have you seen this?
Yeah, it was hilarious.
This is the Secretary of Defense.
Secretary
this
of War.
is not a serious person. He should have been fired after Signalgate. And then every single day after that.
Yeah. I thought that meme that Pete Hegseth put out yesterday was pretty funny. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Good morning, Conservative Doug.
Oh, hey, Doug.
The first thing I'd like to say is Mark Kelly. If he was a Republican and this was a Democratic Congress, they would be going crazy on him. Instead, the damn Republicans aren't doing anything against him, and this is really, they're weaklings. I don't know why they're not attacking Kelly for what he's doing, but they should be. And I'm hoping they'll finally wake up and do something right away, because this guy's got to stop. I mean, he's doing stuff that is not good for our country. And people's lives are going to be in danger if the military listens to this guy.
Well, they're trying. What they're trying to do right now is cause a mutiny on this fleet off of Venezuela that's involved in a combat operation as we speak.
Yeah, this is unbelievable, man. And that's what I'm saying. This guy's got to shut up. I mean, what the Congress has to do, they have to do it, because somebody has to stop him. I mean, certainly bringing him back into the ranks and then trying him for what he's doing is going to be good, but that's going to take a while. In the meantime, Congress should be doing something. Anyway, unfortunately, we got a weak Congress. The last thing is this $1 billion being stolen. $1 billion. Everybody seems to be numb to what $1 billion. $1,000 million is being stolen, and he doesn't know about it.
And by the way, this is just among the Somali community in Minnesota. I mean, my goodness, Minnesota is a small state, really, population-wise. There's no way this went down without Tim Walz knowing about it. No way.
Yeah, well, he's got to be getting his big cut. That's the only thing I can figure. Nobody can steal $1 billion and not know about it. Ridiculous.
Yeah. All right, Doug. I appreciate the call, and I hope they find something on this guy. I mean, Tim Walz is as dirty gets. Now, one thing that really pisses off the left about Trump, you know what pisses off the liberals about Trump more than anything? When doctors give him a clean bill of health. Remember, Ronnie Jackson was the White House doctor in the first term. He did a physical. He had a press conference, released the entire medical report, which had never been done to that extent by any president. And the left, the political class, were so angry at Ronnie Jackson for getting him a clean bill of health. They ran him out of the Navy, and they demoted him to captain. I think Trump promoted him. Did Trump give him the admiral rank back in the retire? I can't remember. Seems like he might have. And then they had created in their mind this idea that Trump was given an MRI because there's something wrong with him, and that he had cancer or a brain tumor or heart disease. And they've created over the last month, they had a couple of images. They had this picture of Trump's hand where it was bruised. He shakes how many hands a day, right? He could shake 1,000 hands in a day easily. And a lot of times people make, tight handshakes and everything. You ever shake your hand and it hurts? Can you imagine doing that 100 times, 1,000 times a day? And they had something about his ankles. They had some video that I don't buy that showed him walking funny. I think it didn't look real to me. But they created in their mind that he had some major health issue. And then when he had the physical recently, and it had come out that he had an MRI, they started convincing themselves that, he had an MRI, he's in trouble, that he had cancer or heart disease or something, or a brain tumor. So he did something that's never been done before. He released, by any president, he released the complete report of his MRI. And this really pisses off the liberals because he got a clean bill of health. Here's Caroline Levitt yesterday.
As part of President Trump's comprehensive executive physical, advanced imaging was performed because men in his age group benefit from a thorough evaluation of cardiovascular and abdominal health. The purpose of this imaging is preventative, to identify any issues early, confirm overall health, and ensure the president maintains long-term vitality and function. President Trump's cardiovascular imaging was perfectly normal. No evidence of arterial narrowing impairing blood flow or abnormalities in the heart or major vessels. The heart chambers are normal in size, the vessel walls appear smooth and healthy, and there are no signs of inflammation or clotting. Overall, his cardiovascular system shows excellent health. His abdominal imaging is also perfectly normal. All major organs appear very healthy and well perfused. Everything evaluated is functioning within normal limits with no acute or chronic concerns. In summary, this level of detailed assessment is standard for an executive physical at President Trump's age and confirms that he remains in excellent overall health.
And by the way, she read the official report from the doctors who did the MRI. They also released it in printed form, the memorandum from the doctors to the press, and it's everywhere. Total clean bill of health, and that really pisses them off. But this is the same kind of scan I had over at Life Imaging FLA. Got the heart scan, got the cancer scan, got the full body scan. And the reason you do that is to, well, either get peace of mind like I was given, or the president was given, or to find out about a problem before it happens. These scans are preventative. And what Life Imaging FLA is doing is preventative health. Like if they find blockage or find cancer, you can take care of it before you have that heart attack, before the cancer progresses and is inoperable. You want to catch these things early. That's why you have these scans. In Life Imaging FLA, they have locations in Broward, Palm Beach, and Dade County. Call Life Imaging FLA right now for your free heart scan with a few minimum requirements, valued at $699. By the way, when you're over there, make sure you ask about their cancer screening too. From your cell phone, call pound 250 and say free heart scan. That's pound 250. Just say free heart scan. You'll be connected in seconds. That's pound 250, pound 250. Say free heart scan. You'll be connected in seconds. We'll be right back. We'll be back in just over a minute, guys. Stand by, about 10 seconds. Welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian Craig. You're listening to The Steve Kane Show, Florida's longest-running radio show. So I tuned into Caroline Leavitt's press briefing yesterday, and it's a lot had happened over the Thanksgiving weekend. I mean, it's just amazing what's going on, right? There's so many stories. I'm not going to list them all, but we've been talking about them today and on yesterday's show. And it blew my mind that they had created this whole. What they do in the media is the work of the establishment, the political establishment, deep state. They start these false narratives. And the one they're trying to start now is about this narco-terrorist boat that was blown out of the water with 2 shots. That the admiral followed illegal orders, that he's a war criminal. This is their whole thing. And in the next presidential election, they're going to run on military tribunals for the Trump administration and the military chain of command. And this is nuts. And it's so important for us to stand behind everyone in the Trump administration, which goes for not just our favorites, but also Pam Bondi, Kash Patel, and Dan Bongino. Miranda Devine wrote a pretty damning piece about Bongino and Kash yesterday, mostly Bongino, and it was not good. But the entire Trump administration need our support. If the Democrats come back into power in the Congress in the midterms and the White House in 2028, they're going to try for war crimes Pete Hegseth, the chairman of the Joint Chiefs, Kane, this admiral, and whoever else gets in their way and opposes them and follows the orders of Trump. And Pete Hegseth, he's not only the greatest war defense secretary we've probably ever had, his life is going to be like the life of Trump. They're going to spend, and he's a young guy, they're going to spend the rest of his life harassing him. Laura Loomer has a story. They're making a move to try to get him replaced. The New York Times and others are trying to get the Army secretary nominated and picked by Trump to replace Pete Hegseth. I don't know why the New York Times and these leftists think that President Trump's going to get rid of Pete Hegseth, but they're trying to run Pete Hegseth out of the defense secretary spot. And for a number of reasons, and place somebody in, I guess they can either control who's one of them, who's this Driscoll character. I don't know. I mean, I know who he is. I don't know too much about Driscoll, but they're, according to Loomer, they're really pushing hard to make him the defense secretary. They're dreaming. President Trump's not going to get rid of Hegseth, and he's certainly not. If that happened, which it's not, he's not going to replace Hegseth with somebody that the New York Times is pushing on him. But Pete Hegseth, when the Democrats are back in power and he's no longer the defense war secretary, he's going to have a tough life because they're going to harass him for the rest of it because he stands up to them. And anyone who takes a cabinet level job or something close to it with President Trump deserves our support. And, You know, I've been pretty impatient with Pam Bondi and the crew over there, but they need our support too. The president's supporting them. We got to support them. What they're planning on doing are having military tribunals and trying as many people from the Trump administration and the chain of command with the military involved in this on war crimes when they're back in power. And they're also going to add justices to the Supreme Court so that the Supreme Court just becomes a rubber stamp for who's ever, appoints those extra justices when it's a Democrat. So, they're planning some pretty evil stuff. And when I turned on the White House press briefing yesterday, I expected most of it to be about the shooting in D.C., since this was the first press briefing after the Thanksgiving weekend. But the fake news media had already decided that they were going to do a false narrative on the 2 shots to take out the drug boat. And no matter what Caroline Leavitt asked, the next reporter asked the same question in a different way about the same thing, about the boat. This is Congressman Eric Schmidt. He was on Fox yesterday talking about this drug boat takedown and what they're doing. He's on the Senate Armed Services Committee.
I will point out, though, Harris, one of the crazy things that happened over the weekend, the Democrats, elected Democrats, not some online troll, elected Democrats have been saying it's okay to disobey orders. That's the first step. But what we saw happen this weekend through some of those same elected officials was to say basically to military men and women, look out, you might get prosecuted. This is not the language of we'll beat them in the next election or we'll win the argument. This is the language of a color revolution where you're calling on military men and women to disobey orders, and you put that on top of the firebombing of Tesla dealerships, the riots you see in the streets, the prosecution of a political opponent. The Democrats have completely lost the plot here, and the American people, I think, see that. But it's a very dangerous road to go down here to say you should be disobeying orders because we don't like Trump.
Yeah. So, this is insane what they're doing here. And this color revolution talk, I did a show Friday, the day after Thanksgiving, and I was talking about this, and now everybody's talking about it because it's so obvious what they're doing. It wasn't that I had some brilliant insight that everyone's copying. I think it's quite obvious to anybody with half a brain cell what's going on here. So they're threatening the military and anyone involved in the civilian chain of command as well, that they are going to be tried for all kinds of crimes over this military action. So I got to ask you this. Why are they choosing this hill to take a stand on? The hill of taking the side of the narco-terrorists, of the drug cartels. President Trump's doing a lot of things, right? Why are they defending the drug cartels? The left in the 90s used to talk a lot about that the deep state are the ones who brought crack cocaine and all this stuff into the cities. I never bought any of that. But I'm starting to think so now, that maybe that was true. President Trump taking down these cartels, these deep state permanent political class people are taking it a little too personally, aren't they? Out of everything to oppose Trump on, they're opposing him on this? What is it about the cartels that has them saying, okay, this is what we're going to fight him on? It's almost as if they have some vested interest in the cartels staying in business. They certainly don't want the crime to be gone in the blue cities. That we know. So who in this country, you know what they say? Follow the money. Follow the money. Who in this country is making the money off the cartels? And this is what I'm wondering. We all agree that USAID is how the deep state funded so much. But is the deep state funded also through the cartels? They're still in operation at some level with USAID no longer existing and all that funding being cut off. But they are having a fit over shutting down the drug cartels, which any day now, the drug cartels will no longer exist. Trump is going to take them out. The drug cartels will no longer exist. The only thing I can think of that has them taking this issue and making a stand on it is that they're profiting from the cartels, that the cartels is funding them somehow. It's got to be. What else could it be? And if you think about it, the cartels have been coming into this country all of our lives without anyone really stopping them. A little Coast Guard action here or there. Get close to shore, maybe some local sheriff boat will stop them in the waterway or something. But there's never been something like this at the source. And so far as them talking about war criminals, and Mark Levin made a good point yesterday on X. Mark Levin pointed out when H.W. Bush 41, Bush 1, took Noriega and Panama, the cover story for that, what the real reason is, you never know with the Bush family, but what the cover story was is he was involved in drug trafficking, Noriega. And Mark Levin pointed out yesterday that H.W. Bush did not inform Congress of the action until it was already underway. Isn't that something? All right, we're going to take our break for the bottom of the hour. You're listening to the Florida's longest-running radio show, the longest-running radio show in the state of Florida, the Steve Kane Show. My name is Brian Craig. We'll be back after this.
This is George Colony. I'm in the real estate business in Fort Lauderdale, Florida with Kai's Real Estate. I've been in business for 6 decades. People often ask me, what's the right time to buy or sell real estate? To tell you the truth, it's always the right time. You just need to have the right advice from the right advisor. You could call me anytime because I answer my phone on the first ring. My number is 954-801-7320. That's my personal cell phone number. And I answer it on the first ring every time. Please give me a call. I'm happy to answer any question that you have. My cell phone number is 954-801-7320.
We're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, Brian, this is Hank from Hollywood. How you doing?
All right, Hank. What's on your mind?
I called Tom Laporta at Tom Laporta Roofing. He sent out Scott. Now, Scott is absolutely the best. Scott and Scott's crew are the absolute best. They gave me a great price. They did the job when they said they were going to do it. They finished the job when they said they were going to do it. The materials they used, absolutely the best. I want to thank Tom. I definitely want to thank Scott, and definitely want to thank Scott's crew. These people are number one, and I just want your listeners to know, Tom Laporta at Tom Laporta Roofing. If you need a new roof, call Tom at Tom Laporta Roofing. You're not going to go wrong. You're not going to be disappointed.
Do what Hank did. Call Tom Laporta at Laporta Roofing on his cell phone, 954-604-4602, 954-604-4602, and online, laportaroofing.com. Hey, Brian Craig here. You hear me talk with attorney Barry Siegel every day about how we can help you and your family. Now here's one of our listeners, Frances, sharing her experience of how attorney Barry Siegel made a difference in her life and took a weight off her shoulders.
I was really looking for something to help me secure my holdings, which is actually not a whole bunch of bank account savings and a house and a car for my 2 daughters. I was worried that if I had just a regular will, things would get tied up in probate, and that would take 2 years. So I heard on the radio about Barry Siegel, the attorney. I gave them a call, and immediately they were so kind. They were so nice. They assured me that they could help. I went over there, and they sat with me, and we went over everything, and I ended up with this wonderful trust for my 2 daughters. So if something does happen to me, things just turn over to them, and it'll make it so much easier for them. And it took a great load off of my mind as to how I would take care of my 2 daughters. I was very pleased with the attorney, Barry Siegel. Finding him helped me assure that my 2 daughters will be well taken care of in the event that I won't be here.
Give attorney Barry Siegel a call right now. Toll free, 855-FLA-3782. 855-FLA-3782. And online, SiegelLawGroup.com.
All right, we'll be back in less than a minute. We're in a radio station break. If you're on hold, hang in there. If you want to call in, the number is in the live chat. I know there's a lot to cover today. A lot to cover. No doubt about it. Okay. All right, welcome back, one and all. It's the Steve Kane Show. I'm Brian. So what I was talking about this morning is a lot of things, but what they're doing on many different levels. Whether it's causing this, they're trying to cause a mutiny in the fleet, sedition throughout the military. They're also threatening members of the Trump administration and their whole chain of command and underlings with going to prison if they follow the orders of the president. Here's the very defeated Hakeem Jeffries. Listen, this is yesterday, Hakeem Jeffries.
The one thing that should be clear to all of these Republican extremists and sycophants and the people who are either actively involved in corruption, violating the law, engaged in extrajudicial activity, is that the statute of limitations for any crimes being committed now is 5 years. It will extend well beyond the end of the Trump administration.
What the hell? I mean, if this isn't a threat being made by Hakeem Jeffries, and what they're telling you, this is what they're telling people: if you do what Trump says after he leaves office, we're going to put you in prison. If this isn't treason, I don't know what is. You look at everything they're doing. This is a very coordinated effort. A very coordinated effort. Listen, this is from Senator Kelly's press conference yesterday. Listen to this.
Folks in the military need to understand, the law of the sea, the Geneva Conventions, what the law says. And I'm concerned that if there were, in fact, as reported, survivors clinging to a damaged vessel, that could be, over a line. I hope it's not the case. I truly do.
This is on now what he's talking about here, Kelly, is the narco-terrorist in the boat. The admiral authorized a second shot. Notice they're no longer calling them fishermen. You notice that? They've dropped that.
Folks in the military need to understand, the law of the sea, the Geneva Conventions, what the law says. And I'm concerned that if there were, in fact, as reported, survivors clinging to a damaged vessel, that could be, over a line. I hope it's not the case. I truly do.
Could Admiral Bradley resisted that order?
Again, I am, not sure of all the facts yet. I don't want to prejudge before we have all the information. I think it's important for there to be an investigation. The inspectors general of DOD needs to investigate this. Unfortunately, an unqualified Secretary of Defense fired a bunch of them and got rid of a bunch of lawyers.
Okay. So here you see it's a total coordination. Kelly with his press conference, the press conference with Caroline Leavitt yesterday, Hakeem Jeffries with his press conference. It's all the same message. War crimes, Geneva Convention, lawful orders, unlawful orders, and war crimes. The video, if all they did was the video, which was most definitely sedition, and when they made that video a couple weeks, has it been 2 or 3 weeks since it came out, however long it's been, who they were really talking to in that video were the guardsmen that are being deployed to American cities. Now what they've done is they've expanded it to this fleet that is right now involved in military operations and in a blockade of Venezuela. So they've expanded it from the National Guard to active duty combat operations that are going on. And I was talking on the program yesterday and over the weekend. This is what the left did during Vietnam when they were telling soldiers to frag their officers. If you're not familiar with that, look it up. We're in a whole new territory here. And this harassment and lawfare of President Trump is never ending. All right. Our number is 888-465-2631. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hello?
You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
My name is Glad Nation.
What's on your mind?
What's the end game to this shit?
Okay. Yeah, the end is by letting you go. Oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness. Yes. You know, I know when you see this coordinate, you know there's coordination when you have the White House press corps, a senator, and a member of the House, and television anchors all saying the same thing on the same day. It's all coordination. Because what they're talking about is so far, when I turned on the press conference yesterday with Carolyn, I was in shock of what they were saying about the boat. I thought it was all going to be about the D.C. incident and deporting Afghans, maybe Tim Walz a little bit. But they were on message. They were all together, one question after the next. Same thing about the Admiral and the boat. Now, this story with Tim Walz, if you're on hold, hang in there. This story about Tim Walz, this one here is, Tim Walz likely will go to prison. You know, this guy was almost vice president of the United States. And, you know, if he would have become vice president of the United States, this fraud in Minnesota, the $1 billion in fraud, we never would have heard of it. Never would have happened. Do any of you guys watch Will Cain in the afternoons on Fox? He's very good, Will Cain. And, you know, Will Cain, he replaced Cavuto. There hasn't been a single person missing Cavuto. I haven't heard anyone mention Neil Cavuto other than me just now, and I don't know how long. Does anyone miss Neil Cavuto? Oh, my goodness. And his wife probably thinks he's around too much now. She wishes he could get on the air. But Will Cain on Fox the afternoon does a pretty good show. And he did a breakdown of this Tim Walz Somalian fraud op in Minnesota.
But with loose rules, it led to widespread fraud. And you can see there, balloon in federal payments headed to Minneapolis to north of $100 million in just a few years. 6 of the people charged in that fraud, members of the Somali community. And then perhaps the most egregious and offensive of all, the autism scam, where a woman in the Somali community has been accused of recruiting children for therapy that they did not need, driving a surge in Medicaid claims. Look at the screen. Look at the numbers. Look at the explosion of federal dollars on the backs of fake autism. Now, the Times points out all this raises broader questions about the sustainability of Minnesota's not Somalian, but Scandinavian-modeled system. That's a robust safety net.
Okay, and it goes on. You know, the fraud in Minnesota is at a level everybody in town knew about it. Everybody in the state knew about it. Not only did Tim Walz know about it, Kamala Harris's campaign and the Biden administration had to know about it too when they had to do some vetting for this guy. Who knows? Maybe this fraud is what got this weirdo picked. You know, when she picked Tim Walz to be her running mate, Kamala Harris, it was very weird. Who had even heard of this guy? No one had heard of him. I vaguely remember seeing him once, didn't even know his name. I think that was true with most people. Why would they bring in somebody like this to be her running mate? Well, maybe because he's a criminal, like the rest of them. This is, you know, $1 billion is more money than the human mind can comprehend. There's no way this went down in his state without him knowing about it and maybe even being a part of it. And, you know, I saw him on TV a little bit over the last couple of days responding to President Trump. And I think the reason President Trump's been talking about him with that R word recently is because he's been getting the reports on this and knows what's coming down. My guess is they got the goods on Tim Walz. And that's why the president is talking about him out of the blue a has-been who lost the vice presidential election. Now, this is another great Christmas gift, guys, and I'm talking about the incredible offer from Slomin's Home Security. Slomin's is offering a free home security system with free professional installation in 24/7 central station monitoring for just $24.95 a month, and that's for 5 years. All you have to do is call 833-283-5050. This is a great Christmas gift for yourself and your family and your home, especially $24.95 for 5 years locked in. That's a good deal, right? $24.95 a month for 5 years. My goodness. But it also makes a great gift for grandma, grandpa, your adult children, whoever in your family. You can get this for them. The free home security system and professional installation includes, of course, that free installation, but it includes a touchscreen keypad, 3 door window sensors, a motion detector, notification, and remote keypad access. Give them a call, 833-283-5050. 833-283-5050. That's 833-283-5050. We'll be right back. We got about 30 seconds. We'll be back, guys. No, it's 87% approval rating, actually. with Democrats, it doesn't matter. They're not going to support him anyway. It doesn't matter what Democrats think of him. Less than 30 seconds, we'll be back. Welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian Craig. You're listening to Florida's longest running radio show, The Steve Kane Show, on the radio since 1977, celebrating 49 years on the radio. By the way, you know, in Colorado, gasoline not only is under $2 a gallon, there's people that are posting videos and photographs at the pump. As I've seen it as low as $1.82 for a gallon of gas in Colorado. That's amazing. It's been $1.82. I'm like, it's like the 90s. I've seen it well under $3 for a while, but $1.82 a gallon, that's pretty darn good. I wanted to play this clip, and I just had it, and I okay, I found it. Here we go. Tim Walz. I think there's a good chance this guy is going to, someone just told me $1.95 in Oklahoma. Holy smokes. There's a very good chance that Tim Walz is going to go to prison. This financial scandal in Minnesota is huge. And this is from the press conference yesterday. This is Caroline Levitt.
About how Somali immigrants in Minnesota have been ripping off American taxpayers. In fact, 86 people have been charged in a rampant and widespread fraud scheme spanning multiple programs in Minnesota. Of those 86, 78 of those people are Somali, 91% of them charged. So far, 59 of those people have been convicted for their roles in fraud plots that have stolen $1 billion from taxpayers. In one scheme, and this is egregious, a nonprofit and its affiliates with these Somali migrants claimed to have fed tens of thousands of American children during the pandemic. They were reimbursed for those meals by taxpayers. However, federal prosecutors found that almost all of those meals were never even delivered to hungry children. In fact, those organizations' leaders spent the money on houses, luxury cars, and real estate in Turkey and Kenya.
Yeah, and there's a lot of there's an article in the Daily Mail detailing and showing photographs of some of the purchases they made. And I was starting to wonder, it's not just Tim Walz. President Trump on Air Force One on Sunday was talking about revoking Ilhan Omar's citizenship. And he even talked about having the power to do that. And then Ilhan Omar released a video where she says, "Oh, if I get deported, I'm a grown up. I'm not a kid anymore. I can make it anywhere." And then yesterday, we get this drop about the $1 billion in fraud from these fake refugees from Somalia. And I'm wondering with Ilhan Omar, I don't know. It seems to me that Ilhan Omar is becoming comfortable with the idea or trying to prepare herself mentally that she's going to be leaving this country, that her immigration status is going to get revoked. And what I'm wondering is she worried about her immigration status being revoked, or is she talking about fleeing? Right? When you have this is just this one incident where they found the $1 billion from the Somalians, the fraud. That's a lot of money. These are her people. And if you watch her, you see her on TV from time to time, but if you follow her on social media, she spends most of her time in the Somalian community telling you that she's Somalian. And, what's happened there with President Trump, I was watching last night online, someone had put together this great highlight reel of President Trump from the debates in the first campaign, going after Jeb and Ted Cruz and all these people. And he was just filleting them like nobody's business. It was hilarious. But now he's a lot more serious about things, and he doesn't do that anymore. And there's been a change in Trump in the second term, and it's a number of things. But I think the change came Butler, and then when they tried to kill him again at the golf course, I don't think he's not playing around. And then on Wednesday, when they killed the National Guardsman, and the guy that survived is in bad shape. If you read the reports today, there's a report today, he's expected to live. They said he's responsive and that he moved his toes. So he's in some bad shape, the other guy. And since that incident happened on Wednesday, there's been a big change in Trump and the way he's handling things. The thing with Ilhan Omar, this story with Waltz, the Justice Department's investigating this, investigating Waltz in particular and everything going on there. When certain things happen, Trump gets fed up and he's enough. And he's not playing games. And I think with Wednesday, he knows more about what happened there than we'll ever know, right? Because a lot of what happened in D.C. on Wednesday is classified with this Afghan CIA guy. But it's been almost a week. It's Tuesday, right? I know because we had the holiday, it may not seem like it, but tomorrow will have been a week since the D.C. shooting. And in the last week, there's just been a major change with the president, and he just doesn't want he's not interested in playing games with these people at all anymore, including the press. And there's also been an escalation, if you've noticed, with the war in Venezuela that's going on. You know, he is done with them. And it's what J.D. Vance said after they assassinated Charlie Kirk. J.D. Vance hosted the Charlie Kirk show the first day back after the assassination. And J.D. Vance said, there's no meeting of the minds with these people. There's no meeting of the minds with these people. There's no common ground. You can't meet with them and try to convince them. You're not going to get through to them. They're evil people that are out just to destroy everything that we're doing. And that is the truth. And I think President Trump has taken that hardcore, especially after the D.C. shooting, which was so far and above. You know, he's going to be addressing the country at 2 o'clock this afternoon, and it's an unscheduled special event. It's expected it's either going to be about closing down the borders to the fake refugees or the war against Venezuela, Maduro, something with, it's one of those two things is what everyone expects. We'll find out at 2 this afternoon. But President Trump is tired of dealing with these evil people, and he's not going to deal with them anymore. He's done. There's no reaching across the aisle. There's no having Schumer over or Hakeem Jeffries and having a meeting of the minds, because they've taken things to a whole new level in this second term. And for the life of me, it makes no sense. Why don't they just wait him out, right? They know that if they would have left him alone in his first term and he had his second term back to back, he'd be a year into retirement now. So we're approaching a year into this second term. Why are they escalating so much against him instead of writing out his second term? I don't know. But he has some ideas. Now, we just got through the Thanksgiving weekend, and I know I pigged out. If you want to lose some weight before your Christmas party, before your New Year's party, before your office holiday party, whatever you got going on, before you see those relatives that you just see once or twice a year or maybe every 5 or 10 years, call Coastal Weight Loss Secret. Remember, I lost 25 pounds in 3 weeks. It's amazing. So you have time to lose weight before that Christmas get-together. You know, all that weight I've lost, even with my pigging out over Thanksgiving, I have not gained the weight because, well, Coastal Weight Loss Secret works without any drugs, without any pills, without any shots. I saw another celebrity yesterday that is on one of those shot treatments. They look so sickly. You want to look healthy and normal and like yourself and do it naturally like I've done with Coastal Weight Loss Secret. No shots, no pills, eating foods I would normally eat, not starving myself, no insane exercise regimes. You know, and the reason, even after Thanksgiving, that I haven't gained weight back, that I've lost, is because there were no major lifestyle changes to lose the weight with Coastal Weight Loss Secret. You know, if you change the way you eat so dramatically, or you have to exercise beyond, you know, what a normal exercise would be. I don't do any exercise other than running my mouth. That's it. You get to the point you can't maintain that forever. And with Coastal Weight Loss Secret, you don't have these major lifestyle changes. So losing the weight is easy, but you know what? Keeping it off is effortless. And I've had no problem keeping the weight off because of not having the big lifestyle changes. I'm going to give you the number. And remember, when you call to schedule your no-charge consultation with Coastal Weight Loss Secret, they can help you no matter where you're located in the United States. We have listeners from all over America who are losing weight, and lots of it, with Coastal Weight Loss Secret. Here's the number, 561-247-6300. 561-247-6300. That's 561-247-6300. And online, coastalweightlosssecret.com. Give them a call. All right, we're coming up on the top of the hour. The 8 o'clock hour will begin shortly. Steve Kane will be joining us, and we have a lot to cover, but there is a lot happening. And this address that the president's making today at 2 in the afternoon, while we don't know what it is, it's going to be a big one. This isn't going to be just some minor thing, because there's too many big things happening. You know, and by the way, another thing we're leaving out, they're in some major talks right now with Putin to end the war in Ukraine. So, you know, they just had that meeting in Florida, and now they're off in Europe. So, you know, it could be that as well. But my guess would be it'll either be the shutting down of the border or Venezuela. All right, we'll take our break. It's the Steve Kane Show. It's 8 o'clock. Back after this.
It counts against them.
Just postpone it till later. Hello?
Hey, it's Brian.
Yeah.
I'm going to put you on hold for just a minute, okay? Hold on.
Okay.
All right, we got 2 minutes, and we will be back. If you're new, make sure that you subscribe, guys. All right, Steve, you there?
Yes, I am.
We got just over a minute. We'll be back.
Okay.
All right, 30 seconds.
Okay.
All right, the 8 o'clock hour has begun. My name's Brian. You're listening to Florida's longest running radio show, The Steve Kane Show. Steve Kane joining us. Hey, Steve.
Good morning. How are you today?
Oh, man, I'm doing great, but there's
It's a wild and crazy stuff.
Well, there's so much happening. Out of the big stories, I don't know, did you have one you wanted to focus on?
No, just follow your lead. Go ahead.
Okay, well, I was very surprised. Yesterday really shocked me. You know, Caroline Leavitt had her first press conference since Thanksgiving, right? So I tuned into it, and I was expecting it to be about the D.C. shooting, right? I mean, we got the guardsman, the girl's dead. The other guy survived, but he is really... They said he's responsive. He's moving his toes. I was like, oh my goodness.
His toes, yeah, that was encouraging.
Oh my goodness. I mean, it's just his life's been destroyed, this guy. So I thought it was going to be about that because President Trump is talking about deporting all those Afghan refugees. But they had the media, no matter what Caroline Leavitt brought up, they all went back to the same thing, and that's the drug cartels. And I wanted to throw this out to you and the audience, and if you're out there listening, after I lay this out, I got a question about this it's very bizarre to me. Senator Kelly, who's part of the Sedition Six, he came out and had almost an hour-long press conference yesterday all about the military operations against the cartels in Venezuela.
Right.
And what they were, and what his narrative was throughout the press conference was the same narrative that the media had at the press briefing, which shows coordination. And they're identifying right now there's been an escalation. There is the naval group that we have there that's taking out the cartel boats have now formed a blockade around Venezuela. So we've got a naval blockade. And it's the same fleet group that's doing the airstrikes on the drug cartel boats, right? The narco-terrorist boats.
Right.
They're identifying the admiral in charge of that fleet as having followed an illegal order violating the Geneva Convention. It's a follow.
Well, they're up the creek. They've got all kinds of conflicting stories now because basically they're attacking our troop.
Yeah. Well, they're saying that he followed an illegal order from Pete Hegseth, and the way they did this is this latest narco-terrorist boat. They took 2 shots at it. The first shot didn't blow it up completely, so they took a second shot and obliterated it.
They had survivors clinging to the outside of the wreckage.
Yeah, well,
and Hegseth gave the order to take them out.
Well, I don't know.
I mean, that's what happened.
That's what they're saying. I don't know if we had some guys on a life raft or something hanging on like Rose and in Titanic or something. But they took 2 shots to take out the these are terrorists. It's like ISIS or Al Qaeda. Okay, these are
exactly.
So they took a second shot. So somehow I don't know if they claim to have a quote from Pete Hegseth. I'm suspect of anything the New York Times says, right? But they're saying that Pete Hegseth said he didn't give the order.
They're just trying to put their own spin on it.
The admiral gave the order.
Going on.
Yes, they're saying the admiral gave the order for the second shot. The media and Kelly and the rest. So they're trying to set up this narrative where the admiral followed an illegal order from Pete Hegseth.
You got the president on one side, and you have the Salacious Six, or whatever they're called.
Sedition Six.
On the other.
Sedition
exactly.
Six. The Sedition Six.
And the battle is for the mind of the American people.
Well, what they're trying to... Yes.
And they're both trying to cover their bases.
Yeah. What Mark Kelly, the media, the Sedition Six, the left, they're trying to cause a mutiny on these naval ships against the admiral, and they're even going so far to say that the pilots launching the airstrikes are also obeying unlawful orders. And they're threatening, and this is where Hakeem Jeffries came in yesterday with his press conference. They're saying that if you're following illegal orders, you're going to go to prison when we're back in power. They're threatening all of them. And we've had this long tradition in this country that anytime there's military action buildup, we always have debate. Is it right? Is it wrong? Is it just? Is it not? Should we go in? Should we do? But when there's boots on the ground, the debate stops. We have boots on the ground because the military operations are taking place.
Exactly, but what we're dealing with on the other side are professional agitators. So they're organized, and in a certain way sense, our side's organized, but it's unpleasant to watch.
Yeah.
But the big thing we've got going for us is the scandal, the Somalia scandal, which is that's where we got them with their hands in the cookie jar.
That's right.
They're trying to duck. They're trying to avoid that one and try to put a face on that one, and that's not so easy.
Well, there's two things with that. Okay, it's $1 billion. There's two things. It looks to me like Tim Walz is probably going to go to prison.
Yes.
There's just no way $1 billion went missing and he didn't know about it or get some of it.
He was in charge of the whole program.
Exactly. So everybody so he's in trouble. And then it looks to me like Ilhan Omar is setting herself up to flee, because I played the clip yesterday on the show. President Trump talked about revoking her citizenship over the weekend. And she says, well, if I get deported, I get deported. I'm a grown-up. I can live anywhere now. So it sounds like she's preparing herself to leave, to flee, and she's got her money stashed away maybe, because these are her people, the Somalians.
I'm sure she's not wanting for cash.
No, and these Somalians are her people. So but this is what I don't get, and maybe you have an answer to this about the going against the naval operation off Venezuela, right? Out of every issue that the never-Trumpers could take a stand on, why are they taking such strong opposition with taking out the drug cartels? It's almost like they're profiting from it. They have some vested interest in the drug cartels or something. It just seems like a bizarre, with everything that's going on, that's where they're going to make their fight?
Well, but I think the answer to that is that's one of our arguments that puts us on the good guys' side, is the fact that they've been killing Americans. That's what justifies our whole entrance into this scene.
Well, in the press conference,
Americans are dying on a daily basis.
Yeah, one of the reporters asked Carolyn Levitt, well, under what authority does the president do this? And she said self-defense. And I hadn't heard them say that like that before. But self-defense. It's exactly what it is. It's self-defense.
Well, that's what it boils down to, sure.
And when if they let 2 or 3 guys on one of those boats survive to go home and tell the story of how they survived the American attack, right now it's almost impossible for them to recruit people to drive these drug boats because they know they're going to be dead. So my guess is the cartel's kidnapping their family members and making them do it, right? Like you have no choice. But when they took the second shot yesterday, that might not even work. It's going to be more and more. Who's going to say, okay, I'll take the drug boat? No one's going to say that now.
It's a nasty mess.
You can't let the guys live. The Navy and the Pentagon didn't hide it. They released all the videos of everything they did, so they didn't hide anything that they were doing. Now, this is already December 2nd, if you can believe it. It's crazy. And if you're in pain, you don't have to be. Go see Dr. Appleton. He's not only has he rid me of pain 7 times. The first time was 3.5 years ago. I had over 30 years of suffering from knee pain from a car accident. But all 7 times that he's rid me of pain, sometimes from the car accident, falling off my skateboard, the arthritis, which is just a part of aging. Not only has he rid me of pain, none of the pains have ever returned. Isn't that something? None of them have returned. The laser away pain treatment, there's no shots, no injections, no surgery, no pills, no pain medication, no downtime. Not only is it completely painless, you don't even feel the treatment when it's happening. Dr. Appleton performs all the treatments himself. We've had listeners that have driven to Florida to see Dr. Appleton. We've had listeners that have flown to Florida to see Dr. Appleton. Even one listener, Steve, took a train from New York to see Dr. Appleton. Planes, trains, and automobiles. Literally, I'm not kidding. He's that good, and it works. The consultation is free. If you have scans, if you have x-rays, bring them with you. Dr. Appleton will look them over for you. Appointments are not necessary. Walk-ins are welcome, even on Saturdays. Give Dr. Appleton a call, 954-973-0710, and say bye-bye to your pain. 954-973-0710. And online, AppletonCairo.com. We'll be right back. All right, I'm going to put you on hold, Steve. Hold on. Hey, Barry, it's Brian.
Hey, Brian.
Hey, I'm going to put you on hold. We have just over a minute. All right, I'll be right back with you. All right, hold on. All right, Steve, you there?
Yeah, but hey, can you talk to me?
No. We got Barry, so, okay.
Okay, don't forget wings.
I won't. Oh, yeah, I won't. All right, I'm going to conference Barry in. Okay, hold on. All right, Barry, we have 20 seconds.
Okay.
All right, we're back. I'm Brian Steves here. It's time to check in with Attorney Barry Siegel from the Siegel Law Group. Attorney Barry Siegel, good morning.
Good morning, Brian. Good morning, Steve. How are you gentlemen doing?
Good morning. How are you doing?
Terrific. Today I was going to talk about the fact that there are people out there, people who are receiving care now, or people who have loved ones who are receiving care, either care at home, care in a facility like an assisted living or a nursing home, and you guys are paying for it out of pocket, and the costs are unreal. And there's a solution, and the solution is calling our law firm. Our law firm has been doing an area of law called elder law for about 25 years now, and we help people in this exact situation who are spending down their assets on the exorbitant cost of care just because they don't have the information to know that there's another solution. And that is the elder law Medicaid solution, where we can help most people qualify, even if your income is over the Medicaid limit, even if your assets are over the Medicaid limit. You could get some relief from spending down those assets. So you don't have to worry about going broke during your lifetime.
Yeah.
So for anybody that's out there that has a loved one who is either about to need care or is already receiving care, they need to call us.
Yeah, or leave the surviving spouse broke and bankrupt and totally penniless, which sadly happens in Florida all the time. Listen, give the Siegel Law Group a call and make sure you mention you heard Barry on the program so you can take advantage of that no-charge in-office consultation. The number is 855-FLA-3782, 855-FLA-3782, and online, SiegelLawGroup.com. All right, Attorney Barry Siegel, we'll talk later in the week.
Terrific. Thank you.
All right, take care, Barry. You know, Steve, I think that Kelly, the bald-headed senator,
yes,
I think he's running for president.
I think he's running for the hills.
That too. He didn't look scared.
I think he's about to go to jail.
I would put a 90, and maybe this is not even a conservative odd. I would put it at about 90% chance they're going to recall him to the Navy and investigate him and charge him in court-martial.
Well, you know, but the problem is that Trump is between the rock and the hard place too, because they're not looking to escalate the conflict that they've got with Kelly. They're trying to make, everybody's got their own PR offensive to, look good on the thing.
Yeah.
And it doesn't serve to the president to have it escalate. So that's one of the reasons I think we haven't seen up to this point any charges filed with the military.
Well, if they recall him, that all of a sudden the legal proceeding takes place, right? So,
well, yeah, that's a court-martial, but I mean that's a high-profile event, and it draws the light to all this nonsense that we're trying to get away from.
And it's unpredictable because the judge and jury could be liberals, even though they're in the military, And
the press is definitely liberal, so you got to fight the old battle again.
And I don't think something at that level has been done. Right? So, with a sitting member of Congress being recalled to active duty and then court. We've had senators tried. I mean, we got Goldbar Menendez is in prison, right? He was arrested and tried twice for bribery. Menendez, he was a sitting senator, and he was as high profile as Kelly. People don't think so, but he was. He was a top guy in the Senate, Menendez, Goldbar Menendez. Remember the one he got arrested and tried for taking bribes years ago, got away with it, and then did it again with those Egyptian gold and all that.
To the best of my knowledge, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but that wasn't a military issue.
No, but he was a sitting senator.
It was a bribery issue.
It was a bribery issue, and he was arrested twice and tried, and while he was in the Senate. And he's in prison
today.
That
was a criminal issue. This is now we're dealing with a public relations issue.
Mm-hmm. Well, is it what?
I mean, that's what I think.
What's the difference? What Kelly's doing is criminal too, right? So I when I say he's running for I believe I watched his whole press conference yesterday. It was about 45 minutes, and to me he looked scared, especially towards the end. The more he was up there, it was almost like he didn't want to do it, but they made him do it, or he felt he had to do it. He's afraid he's going to be recalled and court-martialed, so he's trying to make himself higher profile to maybe avoid it. But he looked, when I saw him, and he was taking questions from the press, and they're a friendly press, so they weren't difficult questions, but he looked like he was going through a panic attack towards the end. He just looked scared. The look on his face, he just did not. I've seen him on TV where he's I'm an astronaut and all this. He seemed very tiny yesterday, so he's worried that maybe they went too far. When they do these things, because they're in this bubble where everyone hates Trump, so they think everybody hates Trump because their bubble that they travel in hates Trump. So when they do something...
Yeah, but now they're forced to take on the army. And I think even Kelly knows that that's a negative situation for him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, but when they do these things like the video, they think that the public are going to rally behind them, and I don't think that's happened.
Well, let's see what our audience says.
All right, well, let me give out the number. It's 888-465-2631. It's a toll-free call. You know, a few things here. What do you think the chances of Kelly being recalled to the Navy and court-martialed? I think it's very high. He's going. It's very, very. If we didn't have the operation going on, they've done. There's been an escalation, right? Shooting the guardsmen, and then yesterday singling out this admiral while we're in combat. It's. I think they pushed Trump too far, you know, and he just seems different. All right, the number is 888-465.
Go ahead.
Yeah, 888-465-2631. 888-465-2631. And it's been a week tomorrow of the DC shooting, and if you've noticed, the media are hardly even covering that. Right? I mean, they want it to be forgotten, which gives more suspicion to it. And then there was I played the audio early before you joined. There was another senator who was saying that this is the deep state color revolution. Well, let me put you on hold, Steve. I'll answer some phones. You back with me, Steve?
Yeah, I'm with you.
Okay. If you're on hold, hang in there. I'm going to take a couple of calls. And again, the number 888-465-2631. We'll try to take one or two before we break for the bottom. All right, let's go. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Good morning, my friend. I'm calling from Comrade Ferguson's Washington State.
Oh, okay.
Used to be Comrade Inslee's Washington State.
Is that the one? Is that the one with the lesbian governor that looks like Rachel Maddow with blonde hair?
No, that's Oregon.
Oh, Oregon. Okay.
Yeah.
I know. I just wanted to say that.
Can't tell you lesbians without a scorecard.
I'm a former Portlandian here, so I know exactly what you're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
I was there in 20 when the last Governor Brown refused to let the National Guard in to help when they were
the Chaz and all that. Yeah. So what's on your mind now?
No.
What's the reason for your call today?
The reason for my call today was correct me if I'm wrong, but I had to fly my two daughters from the left coast to Havana on Willamette, to Portland.
Mm.
Have you ever heard that phrase?
No.
Portlandians or Havana on the Willamette.
No.
Anyways, that's a Lars Larson term. Anyway, if you ever listen to Lars Larson. Anyways, I had to send them over there to Kentucky to bury my son who smoked a marijuana fentanyl-laced blunt, and it rests in peace.
Oh.
And so, correct me if I'm wrong, I think he died from that fentanyl. So these pirates on the Caribbean, they don't come all the way into the United States with that stuff. They go into Belize, they go into southern Mexico, and they, all those, and they bring them across through the coyotes. I know if you ever talk to a Democrat legislator, they don't know what a coyote is. You can't lift a human being on a coyote or whatever.
Well, what's going on here is the president shut down the ground. The coyotes are having a hard time getting through the border on foot. Now they're shutting down the boats to wherever they take the drugs. The illegal drugs like fentanyl in this country have got it's got to have hit the supply where there's not as many and the prices have had to go through the roof.
I know. Here's the thing with the fentanyl. I studied the Smurfers in the 90s in Portland. I used to be Portland LE, law enforcement and stuff. And I was a statistician. I would take in all kinds of information. I would go, hey, this is where this is coming from.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, the Smurfers, when they shut them down, the Sudafed precursors, remember that stuff? And then everything went down to the cartels, and they got such a high batch of stuff that was really, 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 really toxic and potent stuff. And the ODs, and this is what I was getting to, the ODs and the rehab admits, when they were getting all that stuff, the regular bad stuff. Can I say the word?
No, don't say. Listen, I gotta move on to the break. So if I give you the final word, but we're late for a break.
Okay, I'll spell it for you.
No, don't. If you can't say it, spelling it doesn't help. No. All right, listen. Let me talk about Jupiter Joe Thomas. Listen, if you can't say it, you can't spell it. Are you risking your retirement? And what I mean is, you're no longer in the workforce. You're retired. You have your money in an investment account. It could go up this week, go down next week. You don't have to do that. There's a no-risk retirement plan, and that's with annuities. The cool thing about annuities, not only is your retirement nest egg never at risk, you're guaranteed income every month for the rest of your life. There's no risk from stock market losses. You're never going to outlive your money, and you have guaranteed income for life. Joe Thomas is offering free consultations, which you can take advantage of in person, on the phone, or through Zoom. When you call, there's many different types of annuities. Ask him about the annuities. They give you a bonus on your money on day one. 10%, some even more. It's an amazing thing. Turn your money into guaranteed income for life. Give him a call and set up your no-charge consultation. 561-743-0999. 561-743-0999. And if you missed the number, just go to his website, jupiterjoe.com. We'll be right back. All right, I want to put you on hold, Steve. All right, hold on.
Okay.
All right, Steve, we got a little more than a minute.
Okay, you did make sure I'm here.
You're there. All right, we're back. It's the Steve Kane Show. Steve Kane's here. I'm Brian Craig. You know, I was unrelated to all this stuff, Steve. I was watching someone online who's in Italy this week, and they were the victim of the gypsy pickpockets.
Oh, I've been there.
And I remember you told me that if the gypsies touch you, they got your wallet.
Exactly right. If they can get their kids, little kids swarming in the streets, if they can touch any part of you, they can lift your wallet. And they're unbelievable pros.
Well, they're still there. They're still there pickpocketing. And I remember I was in South America years ago, 20 years ago, with a friend of mine, and it was our last night. And I'm walking, and there was the gypsies. They got gypsies there too, and they had a kid. He looked like he was like 3 years old, and he was coming up to me begging for money and with his hands out, and I was walking backwards. And my friend said, "What are you doing?" And I said, "Steve Kane says if they touch you, they got your wallet. I'm not going to let him touch me. I want to keep."
And the only solution is you can't touch them with any part of your body. You know, the only thing you can do is kick them.
That's right. That's right.
But it's part of travel etiquette that it's okay to kick the gypsies.
Kicking gypsies. Yeah. Oh my goodness. I was thinking. If you've ever encountered the gypsy, I remember when I was in high school and I worked at Publix. The gypsies used to hit the Publixes, and they would have signs like by the time clock that the gypsies were in town, and then and what they would do. This was a long time ago. It was on high school. This is in the 80s, right? This is when I was like in 10th grade. They would pretend to have an accident, like a slip and fall, and then they would steal the razor blades. Because the razor blades are very valuable. At least they used to be. I don't know if they still stock razor blades out in the open, but that was their thing. But anyway, the gypsies are still at work, and he said the same thing. They told me if they touch you, they got my wallet. So that's the way it is with the gypsies.
If they can touch you, they can rob you.
But you know, the reason I bring that up is those gypsies, they don't think they're criminals, right? That's just that's how they live.
Right.
Well,
it's their lifestyle.
Well, it's the same thing with the Somalians of Minnesota. They don't think that they're criminal. They come from these corrupt third world pits, and this is just how you live. They're like the gypsies. They don't even
exactly right.
They don't even realize they're criminals. And I was wondering, because this is all over. I've never seen so many fingers pointed at a Democrat like Tim Walz. And Scott Bessent, our openly gay Treasury Secretary, who's a very tough guy. He's the one that got into the physical altercation with Elon Musk. So I would not mess with Scott Bessent. But they're investigating Tim Walz in particular, and they're going to do a deep investigation, not just of him and his wife, but his extended family, I'm sure. And I just find it impossible to believe that there's been $1 billion in thievery by these Somalians and he didn't get a piece of it. Who would turn the blind eye to that?
He's the ringleader, for crying out loud.
Exactly. And it's probably how he got picked to be the running mate for Kamala. They wanted somebody corrupt in there. Like this guy. Could you imagine if this guy would have become vice president of the United States? We never would have heard of this scandal because they would have covered it up. But I mean, when you look at the Democrat Party, there's not a single aspect of it where you don't see financial crimes. Like this thing with Tim Walz is the latest, but this mortgage fraud thing, we're finding there's a whole bunch of. It's not just Letitia. There's 2-3 other high-profile, nationally known Democrats that have the mortgage fraud thing going. When you look at the Democrats, I don't know a single one who's on the straight and narrow, right? Even Bernie Sanders, his wife had a multi-million-dollar scandal at the college. Remember that the FBI was investigating. They got
in fact, at last count, I think Bernie had something like 3 homes.
Five.
5?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah, exactly. Working for the government his whole life. First job he had was at 35 when he got elected mayor. But he's got millions now. the Democrat Party is one big criminal operation. That's just the way it is. I mean, there's not one aspect of the Democrat Party that is not a financial crime. It's amazing, and I guess they do it that way to keep control of them, right? If they open up the books and you're doing crime, what are you going to do? You're going to do whatever they tell you.
Well, they're rolling it together.
But the only thing I haven't figured out about this thing in Minnesota, why is it a news story now? How did this get uncovered? And why is everyone talking about it today? It's been going on for a long time. So why is it an issue now? And how did it become an issue now? I'm very curious about that because all the reporting, they tell us how bad it was and what they stole and what they used the money
Probably
for.
Somebody connected with the criminal enterprise saw the writing on the wall and probably turned them in. That's my best guess.
Or somebody got arrested for something, or
was going to get arrested,
or
kind of like copping a plea,
or deported. And in exchange for not giving deported, well, I know about all this crime going on in Tim Walz's Minnesota. So something happened. You're right. Someone has gotten arrested or was going to get arrested. Someone got in
This is
trouble.
not new. I think this operation that they've got cooking has been going for quite a while, I think.
Yeah, but
it's not new.
But everyone was talking about it in the news yesterday. I mean, it was out of the blue.
It became public for the first time.
Yeah. Well, hold on. Let me answer the phone, Steve, while I put you on hold here for a second. Before we go to the calls, though, can we talk about Wings Plus for a minute?
Oh yeah, my favorite topic.
My goodness.
My favorite Wings favorite topic.
Wings Plus have been with us for over 15 years, maybe going on 20 years they've been with us.
I think it's over 20 years.
Yeah, they've been with us for a long time.
Decades.
Yeah, and let me tell you, I'm a big Wings lover. I've had Wings. You have not had Wings until you've had Wings Plus wings. First of all, everything, including the sauces for the wings, are homemade. Nothing comes out of a can. Right? Nobody else does that. I mean, it's amazing. They get there early and by the way, it's not just the wing sauce. Everything is homemade. The soups, everything is homemade at Wings Plus at the Sample Road location. It's all homemade. Nothing comes out of a can. These other restaurants, Steve, what do? They go over to Sam's Club or something, or Costco. They buy that. I can do that, right? But not at Wings Plus. It's all homemade. But the other thing is this. The wings, the chicken they use is top quality. A lot of these places you go to, it's a bunch of grizzle with a lot of breading, and you're not really getting any chicken. That is not the case at Wings Plus, right, Steve? I mean, it's a lot of chicken. But when
the best way to describe it, it's a combination, which sounds like a strange combination, but they combine being both plump and juicy and crispy all at the same time.
Yeah.
And it sounds like a contradiction, but man, when you taste it, you can taste the difference. The best wings I've ever eaten. And of course, we're coming into the height of football season, the bowls and everything. Great place to watch football. It's a place where the politically elite meet.
That's right.
The hamburger's sensational. Also, the soups. They have homemade soups, homemade clam chowder, out of this world. We've been eating there, and they've been sponsoring us for over 20 years.
Yeah.
Really great people.
Yeah. Yeah, and so many restaurants, the quality of food over the years has gone down with it. Not at Wings Plus. It's great. So they're located. Wings Plus is located in Coral Springs, about a mile west of University Drive, on the south side of Sample Road. You can't miss it. Wings Plus. Make sure you tell them you heard about them on the Steve Kane Show. And if you notice, I try to do the Wings Plus messages as close to the end of the show as possible because it makes me hungry. I'm hungry now, and my mouth is watering. I'm not kidding. My mouth is watering, and I'm hungry. All right, I'm going to put you and everybody on hold, Steve. We'll come back with the Gold Report. You're listening to the Steve Kane Show, Florida's longest-running radio show on the radio since 1977, celebrating 49 years on the radio. If you're on hold, stand by. We'll be back right after this.
morning.
Hey there, it's Brian. We have just over a minute, all right?
Okay.
Hold on, I'm going to conference Steve in. All right, Steve, you there?
I am here.
Oh, wait, we got a minute.
Can you hear me?
I can. Can
you hear me?
I can. Yep, we're going to be back in less than a minute, so stand by.
Okay.
All right, and it's time to check in with William Youngerman from the offices of William Youngerman Incorporated with today's gold and precious metals report. William Youngerman, how the metals look today?
Metals look good. A little bit down after nice gains yesterday and Friday. We saw gold yesterday trading in a range on the low of 42.06 all the way up to $4,265, and then closing out the day at $4,230.60 the ounce. That was up $12.20, although we were up as much as $50 during the day. Silver up $1.60 yesterday, closing out the day at $57.92, and we actually got well over $58 at one point. Platinum closing unchanged yesterday at $1,655, and palladium was down $24 at $1,407. Overnight, we've seen gold trade in a range of $4,180 all the way up to $4,237, and right now we're at $4,206.30, up or down $24.30. Silver down 40 cents at $57.52.
Wow.
Platinum down $29 at $1,626. And palladium up $27 at $14.34. So the markets are very stable after nice gains, and a little bit of a pullback is typical on our what we call contrary Tuesdays. We'll see how long these little lower prices can last today, but certainly a buying opportunity, and certainly markets want to indicate that they might want to go a lot higher.
Yeah, and silver over $57, and it's and that's amazing. Give William Youngerman a call. He opens up at 10 a.m. And remember, you can do your transactions no matter where you are in the world, over the phone and through the mail. 1-800-327-5010. 1-800-327-5010. Or stop in. He's located in Boca at 150 East Palmetto Park Road, on the first floor of the Bank of America building, immediately east of US 1 Federal Highway on the south side of Palmetto Park Road. And find both his address and phone number on his website, williamyoungerman.com. All right, William Youngerman, we'll talk tomorrow.
Okay, have a great day.
All right, take care. All right, you back with us, Steve?
I'm with you.
All right, let's go to the phones. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from? Oh, I hit the wrong button. Hold on. I hit the wrong button. Are you back with us?
Good morning.
Yep. What's your name? Where are you calling from? Oh, no, hold on. Hold on a second. All right. Steve, I got you back. I just lost.
JFK Hospital.
Oh, no. No. We don't want that one. Oh, my goodness. What was that? All right. Are you there?
Are you there?
I got you, Steve.
Here.
Oh, my goodness.
All right.
Oh, my goodness.
What happened?
I'll tell you after the show.
Are they good?
No one knows what just happened but me.
Okay. I can't wait. Don't forget to tell me.
I will. I got to do some stuff after the show, but I'll call you later and tell you. You will. Oh my goodness. That's our audience. I mean, what are you gonna do, right?
Well, it's a certain segment of our audience. That's
well, you know what it is. What it is that we're winning. You know, they were not anticipating things to be turning out the way they're turning out, right?
What you're saying is they're pretty desperate, and you're right on the money with that.
Well, you know, if you know what we haven't heard in a long time, right? Anyone? What about the Epstein files? They've moved on from that because he released them. President Trump has neutralized any criticism they have of him, not just by doing a good job, but like the Epstein files, neutralize them on that, right? They've got nowhere to go, because where are they going to go with all of this winning going on? There's nowhere to go.
They've lost their credibility. They've lost their credibility.
Not only have they lost their credibility, they lost their credibility even with their own people. Right? If you
yeah.
And you know what I was talking about earlier, Steve. See, this is the thing. This narrative they got going on this drug cartel boat is insanely stupid. They're trying to tell us that there were just these poor guys hanging on to a life raft. What is that based on? What, somebody in the New York Times said so? I don't buy any of that stuff. You know, and when you win a war, you got to fight it to win it. If you look at the history of America and war, the wars that are fought to win it, where you kill the enemy, those are the ones you win. And the one you fight in the media with these politically correct standards are the ones you lose, like Afghanistan or Vietnam, right? And this war on the we're going to wake up one morning soon and they're going to be gone. Because I don't think these cartels have ever even thought there would be accountability. Because this is what I was talking about earlier. The Sedition Six, right, Kelly and all of them, are spending so much of their political capital defending the cartels. It's very bizarre. Unless they have a vested interest in the cartels. And I'm starting to think they do.
And now that's been the case. I mean, they have a vested interest in getting rid of Trump. And it's all tied to that.
Well, you know, the liberals, they used to talk in the 90s about how the cocaine and the crack was all because of the CIA and everything. And I always thought that was crazy. But now I'm starting to think it's true. Because they're spending too much time defending the cartels. And I think that the cartels have felt that they would never be held accountable. They are not prepared for what Trump is bringing to them right now. They're just not prepared because they didn't need to be prepared, because obviously forces inside the government of South America and our country have been giving them free rein. And we're going to wake up one day and they're just going to be gone. That's it. They're just going to be completely wiped out. And my guess is we already have special forces on the ground that are eyeing targets where President Trump's mentioned a couple times the cocaine factories and things that they have down there. You know, I don't even think these things are hidden. I think they're very out in the open because there was never going to be anybody that came and did anything about it. And when these things are taken out, that's going to be the end of it. You know, when the cartels are gone, and he's going to be a hero for doing it. But it doesn't make sense to take a position that taking out the drug cartels is a war crime unless you're in league with the cartels. I think it's more than they have a common enemy in Trump. You know, I think between the drug cartels at USAID have been funding their whole operations, and they don't want their last form of income, the drug cartels, to be put out of business. It would seem to me. But anyway, that's that. Now, I want to tell people, here we are, the Tuesday after Thanksgiving, and everybody, listen, Thanksgiving's a holiday everyone partakes in and eats a lot. But you still have time to call Coastal Weight Loss Secret and schedule your no-charge consultation and lose that weight you gained over Thanksgiving before your Christmas events, before your New Year's parties. Remember, I lost 25 pounds in the first 3 weeks. It's amazing. No exercise, not starving myself, eating foods I would normally eat, and not taking any of those prescription medications or shots. And you know what I learned about those shots? Not only do they make... Have you seen Michelle Obama lately, Steve?
No.
Oh, yeah. She's on one of those shot treatments to lose weight. I mean, she never looks good, but it's hard.
For sure.
Oh, you don't want to see what she looks like now at all. You know, and there's another celebrity I saw that was unrecognizable taking that nonsense. With Coastal Weight Loss Secret, you're losing the weight naturally, so you look natural. You look like yourself. You don't want people to look at you and say, oh, look, they're on that shot or that pill. Not with Coastal Weight Loss Secret. And it works. Give them a call and schedule your no-charge consultation. 561-247-6300. 561-247-6300. And online, coastalweightlossecret.com. CNN had another poll yesterday where they said that President Trump is the most influential president of the 21st century. And keep in mind,
well, that's not hard to believe.
CNN, Obama was president for 8 years in the 21st century, right? So for them to say he is more significant than the first black president of the United States, and that's the Clinton News Network of CNN, that's amazing for them to say that. The most consequential president in the 21st century. That blew my mind. I mean, you and I know that, and we can, but for CNN to report that, that's a whole nother story, And see, the things that Trump is doing is what I was telling you yesterday, Steve. They're universally good things that no credible person could take issue with, right? Who could take?
What Donald refers to as common sense.
Exactly. I mean, how can you take issue with taking out the cartels? They had a new poll. This refugee ban. More than 50% of the American people support his refugee ban. Right? I mean, it's really amazing when you look at the numbers because one, CNN's reporting it, and two, he has 24/7 over 10 years of negative coverage about everything he's doing, and still the opinion polls are on his side, which is amazing. This refugee deportation that he's going to start doing and shutting down the borders to all refugees, because I thought for sure that would be 60-40 against. No, he has over 50% support. People in this country are just they're completely fed up. That's what it is. Now I want to tell you this announcement this afternoon that he's making. I hope it's a big one because they got.
Sounds like a big one.
Well, Kristi Noem and Carolyn Levitt were on TV last night talking about the banning of the refugees. So the common thinking, that's what it's going to be. And I would probably go with that one if I had to pick.
That's a huge project.
Oh yeah. Well, first off, they're fake refugees. I mean, these are not real refugees that are fleeing any true oppression, right? Or the climate refugees or whatever they're fleeing. It just doesn't exist. It's a completely made up thing. That's a big thing. That's a big thing. And if you know, another thing President Trump has done in the second term that he didn't in the first term, I don't know if you realize this. A lot, I did. I noticed it. He never did any press conferences or any addresses from the Oval Office. And in the second term, he's doing everything from the Oval Office. And I hope it becomes a press conference. When Carolyn Levitt yesterday started taking questions, they're itching to go after this car. And I hope it turns into a press conference so he can duel with them about the narco-terrorist boats, because he's going to fillet them on that one if they go after him on that. I'm looking forward to it. I'm going to put you on hold, Steve. Our phones are ringing off the hook, and my apologies for not getting to all the calls. Let me put everybody on hold. All right, there we go. All right, you back with us?
Hello?
Nope. All right, you're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, it's Mike. How you doing? From
All right.
Jersey.
Yeah, Mike. All right, hold on, Mike. Hold on a second. Hold on. All right, Steve, I got you back. All right, go ahead, Jersey. Go ahead, Jersey.
Brian, listen, I'm not. I used to be a Trump supporter, man. I'm not.
Oh.
And all these illegals that are coming in, just hear me out. All these illegals that are coming in, right? I think they should be allowed. and as long as they're gay and trans.
Oh, okay. Well, that's
All
good.
the
That's pretty good. Yeah. What do you think, Steve? That seems like a pretty. As long as they're that would be perfect.
I think we're ready for the next call.
Now, well, the show's almost over, so we don't have time for any more calls. The quality of calls today has not been the normal Steve Kane Show quality of calls.
No, it hasn't.
It's been a little lower than our normal standards, but hey, it's a holiday season. All right. Well, listen, that's all the time we have for today. Maybe tomorrow we can elevate the quality of the calls. I didn't take a lot of calls today, but I think only one was worth taking, maybe. We'll find out tomorrow. You're listening to Florida's longest running radio show, The Steve Kane Show, on the radio since 1977, celebrating 49 years on the radio. My name is Brian Craig. Steve Kane has been here. We'll see you tomorrow morning at 6 a.m., covering all the topics. God bless America. God bless Donald Trump. We'll see you tomorrow. Take care. Have a good day. All right, Steve, I'll call you later, okay?
Oh, okay.
All right, take care. All right. If you're on hold, sorry, didn't get to the calls. I got to run. I got a meeting. But if you're new, make sure you subscribe. My name's Brian. This is where MAGA comes to talk. Take care.